Chapter 1150. The void of ing sea above her head was shattering, the sea under her feet was shattering, and the white clouds around her were also shattering. She turned around and saw that Wang Lin, who was beside her, had also become expressionless. His figure also became illusory like a bubble and gradually shattered. Ningguang took a deep breath and slowly closed her eyes as she looked at the scene before her. When she opened her eyes again, the scene in front of her had completely changed. She was still in Ing Sea, but it wasn't the place where she had chased after the gray-clothed woman. She was still at the place where she had been at the beginning. However, the illusion that she had always used to live in had now changed its appearance, making it difficult for her to recognize it. Everything had become hazy and hard to identify. Ningguang could clearly feel that her 5 senses, including vision, hearing, and even the waves of her divine sense had become weak, as if they were being suppressed by something. She felt as if she was immersed in water, and everything in front of her was black and white. There was no color, no sound, and no obvious sense of touch with the space. Ningguang had lived in seclusion in Ing Sea for many years and had no conflicts with the world. She had never participated in the birth of Ing Sea's 3 mountains, but she had heard many things about Ing Sea. This is the power of the nameless ancient formation of Yingzhou Immortal Mountain. At this moment, she came to a realization. She turned around and saw a young man in purple sitting cross-legged at the side, looking at her calmly. It was Wang Lin. Wang Lin sat cross-legged on the ground with his hands flat on his knees. His white hair spread out behind his back as he looked at Ningguang, who was dressed in a white palace dress and had a delicate and elegant look. Ningguang didn't get angry. She looked elegant and calm, but there was a strange expression on her face. She tilted her head slightly and looked at Wang Lin. "Was that your Dharma spell just now?" Wang Lin nodded. "That's right." Ningguang frowned slightly. "How did you bring me to Yingzhou Immortal Mountain? Or did you control Yingzhou Immortal Mountain to come here?" Sensing that he was enveloped by the power of the nameless ancient array of the Yingzhou Immortal Mountain, Ningguang was no longer surprised as to why he had suspected that everything was an illusion and failed to crack it. Her and Wang Lin's attainments in the Tao of changing illusions were basically on the same level. In fact, she might be better than him. Therefore, after the nether dream illusory realm that she had unintentionally created combined with the Ing Sea's inherent illusions, she had unconsciously used the geographical advantage to trap Wang Lin for a long time. However, Wang Lin's illusions not only used his own Dharma powers, but also the power of the nameless ancient array of the Yingzhou Immortal Mountain. It trapped her spirit and blocked the connection between her and the illusions beneath her feet. Not only did the geographical advantage between them reverse, but she was also weakened in terms of Dharma powers and Dharma powers. More importantly, when Wang Lin broke her Dharma spell, he also merged the power of the nether dream illusory realm with the power of the ancient array, which acted on her. Ningguang was like opening the door to a thief, so she fell into Wang Lin's trap without realizing it. However, Ningguang could still accept it. She was just curious as to why Wang Lin had brought her to Yingzhou Immortal Mountain. "Is Yingzhou Immortal Mountain very close to this place?" Ningguang asked. Wang Lin looked calm. He shook his head and said with rare patience, "That's not the case. We are now in the illusions that you live in and we haven't moved. I used the treasure left by my master to guide the power of the Yingzhou Immortal Mountain's ancient array here." He opened his hand, and there were some broken stones in his palm. It looked like a broken crystal. Ningguang nodded. "From the moment I opened my eyes and saw you, I was already in your Dharma spell?" Wang Lin said calmly, "That's right. It wasn't you who broke the Dharma spell and woke me up from my deep sleep. It was me who woke up from your Tao of dreams." Wang Lin, who was sitting on the ground, stood up and put his hands behind his back. He looked at Ningguang and said, "I woke up from your Tao of dreams, and you also woke up from your cultivation state. But at that moment I used my Dharma spell." Ning Wanga raised her head slightly. This illusions of yours actually reflected and merged with my nether dream illusory realm, projecting the thoughts in one's heart. The experience in the illusions projected the things that she had always been worried about, which were her lost memories, her origin, and the past that she had forgotten. She knew about the existence of Nyekong Great Sage, Yang Qing, and the others because they had also fallen into Ning Wanga's nether dream illusory realm. Although Ning Wanga didn't realize it at that time, there was still feedback when she woke up. Wang Lin said, but the final result was beyond my expectations. When he broke Ning Wanga's nether dream illusory realm, he combined the illusions with his own Dharma spell and the power of the Ingzhou Immortal Mountain's ancient array, and applied it on Ning Wanga. It was also beyond his expectations, but he didn't stop. He wanted to confirm Ning Wanga's identity and purpose of coming, and break her nether dream illusory realm. The moment he saw Ning Wanga, Wang Lin had already realized that it wasn't Ning Wanga's intention to enter the illusions by mistake. Although Wang Lin's methods were cruel and he never left his enemies alive, he wouldn't kill blindly when it was difficult to distinguish between friend and foe. It was just that the highest level of vigilance was essential. Moreover, he also had to guard against the possibility that his judgment of Ning Wanga's methods was wrong. If Ning Wanga had done it intentionally and could hide from his perception, then her intentions and ability would be extremely dangerous. All kinds of experiences showed that Ning Wanga really didn't have any hostility. What happened before was more of an accident. The woman in front of him basically didn't care about anything other than finding out about his identity. She was very easygoing. Moreover, she was broad-minded and even somewhat soft-hearted. In the illusion projected by her mind, Wang Lin saved Yang Qing and the others safely. No one was killed, and there were no sacrifices. As for the man in the gray robe, he was more interested in finding out his identity than killing him. The man in the gray robe in the illusions just now was not designed by Wang Lin. Just like the man in the white robe in the nether dream illusory realm, the man in the gray robe was also the projection of the opponent in Ning Wanga's heart. The last scene was also out of Wang Lin's expectation. It was as if it was buried in the deepest part of Ning Wanga's heart. Even she didn't realize it, or maybe she had been avoiding it subconsciously. But in this illusion, it was successfully reflected. But because it was too sudden, it conflicted with Ning Wanga's usual state of mind. The illusion could not give a reasonable response to Ning Wanga's sudden change in state of mind. Hence, Ning Wanga woke up from the illusion. The existence of the man in the gray robe was actually hinting at the question that Ning Wanga had always had. It was the missing memory that she had been searching for. It wasn't something like the twin sisters. The man in the gray robe was hinting at Ning Wanga herself. Her biggest opponent was herself. The root cause of her missing memory and the final solution also depended on her. Ning Wanga looked into the distance with a complicated look in her eyes. She muttered to herself, "I have checked many times. My divine soul is not sealed by anyone, or should I say, by my past self. But why did the hint in this illusion reflect such a scene?" She suddenly turned to look at Wang Lin. "I once put myself into the nether dream illusory realm and tried to awaken the deepest thoughts in my heart. But I didn't succeed. In terms of pure power of dream path projection, my nether dream illusory realm should be stronger than the illusion you had just now." Wang Lin nodded calmly. "That's right. Your spell is stronger and better at exploring mental state projection. My spell is strong in external restrictions, making it impossible for people to break free." He looked at Ning Wanga and said after a moment of silence, "My spell is infused with the power of reincarnation. It can shatter people's memories of past lives or awaken them." When Wang Lin first comprehended the Yellow Springs spells, the first spell, Road to the Yellow Springs, Condensed Bilyang Slope, had this effect. However, the effect depended on Wang Lin's own cultivation and the opponent's cultivation. Now, as Wang Lin's cultivation got higher and higher, his understanding of Tao skills and divine powers became deeper and deeper. Similar spells were also gradually infused into other divine powers and spells. The illusion he had created just now had this effect. Wang Lin could also faintly feel that Ning Wange's memory wasn't sealed by others or herself. It was just that her divine soul seemed to be broken and missing. Ning Wange said, 4,000 years ago, since I could remember, I was already in the Tao fusing realm. I'm not a child who had just reincarnated. Her gaze was a little sad. Even if it's related to my past life, I have no memory of anything from when I was born until I reached the Tao fusing realm. All the common knowledge of life, my Tao skills and cultivation, these are the only things I can remember. Other than that, I don't have any trace of anything else. Even my current name is something I came up with later. When Wang Lin heard this, he also frowned slightly. From Ning Wange's description, her Tao fusing was like a reincarnation. However, such a spell had never existed in the world before. It was also completely incompatible with Ning Wange's current path of serene dreams. If the original spirit of a Mahayana-grade Dharma treasure escaped calamity and reincarnated, it would also have to cultivate from the beginning. It was impossible for a Mahayana-grade Dharma treasure to become a Tao fusing realm cultivator with just one reincarnation. Ning Wange turned to look at Wang Lin. Where are your junior brothers and the rest? Wang Lin said, they have already awakened. They are in the small world created by my magic power. Silently, Ning Wange looked at him and suddenly asked, do you think that everything in front of you now is real? Everything that happened just now, you woke up from the serene dream's illusory dimension and then sucked me into your mystique. After that, I escaped and then we communicated with each other. All of this, is it another layer of illusion? Was everything that happened before just an illusion? Wang Lin said indifferently, reality and illusion are unpredictable. When all the demands of the state of mind can receive a reasonable and comprehensive response, is there a big difference between reality and illusion in this world? Perhaps our entire Tianyuan world is fake. It is all man-made. We are all living in a dream weaved by someone else. However, this idea is also our illusion. We can imagine that this world is weaved and created by someone else. The person who created the Tianyuan world also exists in our dreams and illusions. Ning Wange glanced at him. This idea of yours is a little self-deceiving. At this moment, Wang Lin did not have the slightest trace of coldness and ruthlessness. His expression was calm and indifferent. There was even a hint of a rare smile on his face. The person who weaved our world, is he living in the world weaved by someone else? Chapter 1151. When Ning Wange heard what Wang Lin said, she looked at him with slight surprise, but Wang Lin looked calm. I often wonder if everything I'm experiencing right now and everything I've experienced in the past is just a dream. After a long time, Ning Wange shook her head and her expression returned to normal. And you, compared to me, are more. She paused for a moment and looked at Wang Lin. Crazier. Wang Lin didn't say a word. His expression didn't change at all, and he was as calm as still water. Ning Wange shook her head and didn't continue this topic. She looked at Wang Lin and said, what do you want to do next? Wang Lin said indifferently, whether it's intentional or not, you know too many secrets of our sect through the dreams of me and fifth junior brother. With your cultivation and strength, you deserve the courtesy of our sect. But it's hard to predict whether you are a friend or a foe. From my original intention, I can't let you go easily. He looked at Ning Wange with an indifferent expression, as if he was talking about something that should be done. Even though through the previous fight, he vaguely felt that Ning Wange seemed to have started to go through the tribulation. If they really fought, he might not be able to keep Ning Wange here alone. It would be even more difficult to kill or capture her. But if they really fought to the death, this was not a matter of personal honor. He definitely wouldn't fight one-on-one. At that time, he would use both the Xiantian God Sealing Flag and the Tsangtian Dao Jian. As a primordial spirit incarnation realm cultivator, it was not shameful for him to use Dharma treasures against Ning Wanga, who had already started to go through the first tribulation. In a situation where it was 3 against 1, if Ning Wanga didn't have a powerful Dharma treasure with her, it would really be a problem for her to escape. Ning Wanga's expression was equally calm. So? Wang Lin said indifferently, "This concerns the whole sect. You are not an ordinary person, so I won't make decisions on your own. My master can decide whether you stay or leave." Although he was very independent, Wang Lin could distinguish the priorities of the matter. Ning Wanga did not say anything. Wang Lin took out a talisman in front of her. This talisman was specially made by Lin Feng after he obtained the 2 immortal mountains of Penglai and Yingzhou. It was very inconvenient to use transcendence energy to send sound transmissions across the boundary of 2 different worlds. There were many obstructions, and the lower the cultivation of the cultivator, the more difficult it was. In the world, if the majority of cultivators were in different worlds, then the transcendence energy transmission would be directly cut off. For this reason, Xianmen Tianzong had specially made a batch of talismans for the people in Yinghai to communicate with the people in the divine land of the vast 1,000 worlds outside Yinghai. Wang Lin activated the spirit talisman, which turned into a purple light in the air. The purple light gradually formed a human figure. He was dressed in purple, and his hair was spread out. It was Lin Feng. Lin Feng looked at Wang Lin and smiled. "Little Lin, what's the matter?" After Wang Lin told him everything in detail, Lin Feng was also quite surprised. Oh! He had heard of Ning Wanga's name before. She was one of the top 4 Dao integration realm itinerant cultivators in the human cultivation world of the Divine Land. She was Lord Scorching's son, Zhuge Zhuge, who had become a guest in Xianmen Tianzong. Thousand Tree Duda, who had also participated in the Buddha exterminating war, and Lord Luofu, the owner of the Luofu Immortal Island in the East Sea, were known in the world. At the same time, she was also the most mysterious and low-key among the 4. It was rumored that no one had seen her real face. Moreover, it seemed that she was also the one with the highest Dharma realm among the 4. Not only was she in the Dao integration realm, but she had also started to experience the first tribulation, although it seemed that she had only experienced one tribulation. He looked at Ning Wanga, and Ning Wanga bowed. "Greetings, Master of the Xianmen Gate." Lin Feng nodded. "Meng Xian, you're too polite." Looking at Ning Wanga, many thoughts flashed through Lin Feng's mind in an instant. Her memory started to break and disappear 4,000 years ago? At this time, his eyes moved slightly, and he looked at Ning Wanga. "Meng Xian, do you intend to leave Yingxi and find another place to live?" Ning Wanga was naturally not surprised that Lin Feng knew about this. She nodded. "I have no intention of getting involved in any dispute. I just hope that I can cultivate by myself in peace. I hope that Master of Xianmen can be merciful." Lin Feng said, "For your Dharma, the most suitable place to cultivate is in Yingxi, right? There may not be another place as suitable as this one if you look for other places." Ning Wanga was silent. Lin Feng was speaking the truth. After a moment of silence, she looked up at Lin Feng. Lin Feng waved his hand. "I don't mean anything else. I'm just saying that you can stay in Yingxi and do whatever you want. Our sect will not make things difficult for you." Ning Wanga was slightly stunned again, but she quickly came back to her senses. She nodded at Lin Feng and said, "Thank you, Master of Xianmen, for your magnanimity. Ning Wanga is very grateful. I promise to keep my mouth shut about the secrets of your sect." Lin Feng nodded his head, his gaze turning towards Wang Lin's side. Although Wang Lin was a bit surprised by Lin Feng's decision, he did not raise any questions. The expression on his face did not change in the slightest. If the news is true, the time when the enchantress appeared in Tianhuang mainland, became famous, and became active was about 4,000 years ago, about 600 years after the war between the two worlds. Lin Feng's voice transmission sounded in Wang Lin's ears. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed slightly. Present, the most mysterious demon race in Tianhuang mainland, the Enchantress, and the most mysterious human race mighty figure in Divine Land, Ning Wanga, could not help but be concerned about the coincidence between the two. Perhaps it was really just a coincidence, but if it was not, there were a lot of secrets hidden in it. Lin Feng had only said one sentence, but Wang Lin already understood and didn't ask anything else. Instead, he opened his palm and showed a ring. It was the ring that was flashing with purple light from Niekong Great Sage. It was not only in Ning Wanga's dream. In reality, after Wang Lin woke up and trapped Ning Wanga in an illusion, he also obtained the ring from Niekong Great Sage, who was still in a deep sleep, and suppressed him. The power contained in the ring was very mysterious. Wang Lin's senior and junior brothers had once come to Mount Penglai under Lin Feng's guidance and personally studied the heavenly Tao demon scriptures and the power of Yudu's netherflower. Therefore, he was very sure that the ring was related to the Yudu race. Great Sage Zhu Jian, Great Sage Revolving Turtle, and the other great demons under the Enchantress wanted this item. Wang Lin said, "Master, this item is very mysterious. I tried to analyze it, but the results were limited. I'm afraid it's another treasure related to the Yudu race that Golden Rock Great Sage got. He temporarily left it with Niekong Great Sage for future use." Golden Rock went to the old site of Great Thunderclap Monastery to open up the black hole, and all sorts of changes happened. They were not what he could have predicted, but he also knew that the trip would be difficult, so he had to leave some backup plans for himself. This ring was probably one of them. However, it wasn't used for battle, but for something else. However, Niekong Great Sage didn't know. This item was the focus of both sides' fight. Lin Feng took a look at it and said, "Keep it safe and send it back to Yingzhou Celestial Mountain." "Yes, Master, disciple understands," Wang Lin said. The communication was cut off. Wang Lin turned his head and saw Ning Wanga's gaze also landing on the ring. Her gaze was a little complicated. There wasn't any greed or desire in her gaze, but confusion and confusion. Wang Lin understood her confusion. In the dream, he and Ning Wanga had used this ring to lead the way to chase the gray-clothed man. In the dream, the gray-clothed man had taken the ring and left behind traces that exposed his whereabouts. The ring seemed to have nothing to do with the gray-clothed man. However, the dream was a projection of Ning Wanga's own thoughts. Why was it the ring that established the connection between Ning Wanga and the gray-clothed man? There must be a reason behind it. Because Ning Wanga had lost her memory, she couldn't explain everything, just like how she couldn't explain what was going on with the gray-clothed woman. But this didn't stop Ning Wanga from having doubts. Wang Lin also lowered his head to look at the ring, trying to figure out the power within it. Suddenly, his heart skipped a beat and he looked in another direction. Although Ning Wanga was a little dazed, she also sensed something at the same time. She looked in the same direction as Wang Lin. Outside the illusion that everyone was in, there was a violent wave of demonic power that kept raging. Ning Wanga stretched out her palm and swiped in the void. Suddenly, a light and shadow appeared in the void, showing the scene outside. A giant beast with the face of a human and the body of a leopard stood outside the illusion with a gloomy look. Its ears were like those of a cow and it only had one eye. It held its own tail in its mouth, and stared at the illusion that Wang Lin and the others were in without saying a word. It was the Great Sage Zhu Jian. Beside the Great Sage Zhu Jian, there was also a giant beast standing on each side. On the left was a strange snake with 1 head, 2 bodies, 6 legs, and 4 wings. It was the Great Sage Fei. On the right was a giant turtle with the head of a bird and the tail of a serpent. Its whole body was red and black. It was the Great Sage Revolving Turtle. Previously, the Great Sage Zhu Jian and the Great Sage Revolving Turtle had chased after the Great Sage of Niekong into the Ying Sea. Unexpectedly, they continued to fight with the great sage of Nyekong in the process, which caused the space to be distorted. After entering the Ing Sea, they temporarily lost track of the great sage of Nyekong, so the two demons had to search again. The great sage Fei had been chasing after the great sage of Bifong. After chasing him away, he hurriedly rushed into the Ing Sea to meet up with the great sage Yu Jian and the others. After searching for a long time, the group of great demons finally found the location of the illusion. In the illusory realm, Ning Wanga said, "The battle between you and me caused the control of the illusory realm to change hands several times. It created a huge fluctuation and became unstable. It was unable to seal and block the aura of the golden rock of the black sky, so they found us." Wang Lin nodded calmly. "That's right." At this moment, the great sage Yu Jian, who was outside, looked at the illusion for a while with one eye open. Suddenly, he opened his mouth and spat out a ball of light. The light gradually dissipated, revealing a pearl. The great sage Yu Jian narrowed his eyes and chanted an incantation of unknown meaning. Many strange symbols started to light up on the surface of the pearl. The pearl's size started to shrink, as if it was melting into the void of the Ing Sea. However, streams of mysterious light surged out of the pearl and circled between heaven and earth. Chapter 1152. The great sage Yu Jian's pearl kept shrinking in size as if it was melting. Rays of mysterious light were produced and attached to the illusion that Wang Lin, Ning Wanga, and the others were in. The illusionary realm that was originally shapeless and indistinguishable from the outside world suddenly rippled like water, revealing its own silhouette. During this process, the illusion began to disintegrate. Even Wang Lin and Ning Wanga were somewhat astonished when they saw this scene. After all, even Tao integration realm experts or greater demons at the astral soul fusion realm might encounter danger in this illusionary realm. Although the great sage Yu Jian was a great demon in the first tribulation stage and had outstanding demonic powers, the Tao of transformation was not his forte. The main reason why he was able to break through the illusion so easily was undoubtedly because of the pearl in his hand. Ning Wanga looked at it carefully and nodded. "It's the Shun pearl. It's a Shun pearl produced by a phantom puppet that had achieved the integration of stars and souls when it was alive." Wang Lin's expression was calm, but his eyes flickered slightly. Only the previous clan leader of the Illusion Puppet clan, Great Sage Illusion Puppet, has reached the realm of star-soul fusion. However, he has already fallen for many years. I just didn't expect that the sea serpent pearls he produced would still exist today. This pearl was precisely the sea serpent pearl produced by the Great Saint Illusion Puppet all those years ago. It was capable of forming a formidable illusion, and when it encountered other illusions, it was capable of eliminating the false and retaining the true, causing it to be extremely miraculous. The power of the Shun pearl would be consumed at different rates according to the illusion created and the strength of the illusion broken. The consumption could not be replenished. If it was consumed completely, the Shun pearl would also disappear. To break the powerful illusion that Wang Lin, Ning Wanga, and the others were in, the entire Shun pearl had to be consumed. This was the enchantress's collection, which he had entrusted to the great sage Yu Jian. As the location of the operation was in the East Sea, which was not far from the entrance of the Ing Sea realm passage, the enchantress had asked the great sage Yu Jian to bring this treasure. Although neither the enchantress nor the great sage Yu Jian had the intention to enter the Ing Sea if it was not necessary, they had to be prepared. Now, this thing played an irreplaceable role. The Shun pearl became smaller and smaller until it was completely consumed and disappeared. The brilliance it emitted completely wiped out the illusion that Wang Lin and Ning Wanga were in. A cold light flashed in Wang Lin's eyes as he looked at the great sage Yu Jian, whirling turtle sage, and Fei sage in front of him silently. After the illusion disappeared, the great sage Yu Jian and the other demons could clearly sense the situation inside. Before Wang Lin, they had been following the great sage Zhu Jian's lead. They had followed the great sage Si. They had followed the great sage Zhu Jian great sage and Fei sage clues. At this moment, the great sage Zhu Jian and the other demons frowned slightly when they saw Wang Lin's white hair fluttering in the wind and a cold expression on his face. This was the Ying Si. Although it did not belong to Xianmen Tianzong was the force with the greatest geographical advantage. It was not surprising that Wang Lin had appeared here. However, they could sense that the great sage Zhu Jian's demonic aura was faintly covered by Wang Lin. It seemed that the aura had fallen into Wang Lin's hands. This made the great sage Zhu Jian and the others frown. As for the personal disciples under Lin Feng, especially Wang Lin, who was known as one of the 4 heroes of the celestial sect in the great Tianyuan world, be it the human clan or the demon clan, all had some understanding of them. Putting aside Wang Lin himself, as a great demon in the first tribulation stage, the great sage Zhu Jian felt that it was difficult to deal with him, but he was not afraid of him. The key was Lin Feng, who was standing behind Wang Lin, which made him hesitate. Ning Wanga stood beside Wang Lin. At this moment, in the eyes of others, she had regained her blurry appearance. Her body was shimmering with colorful lights, which were like water ripples that kept flowing. Other than the great sage Zhu Jian, who could vaguely feel that there was something unusual about her, the revolving turtle great sage and the Fei great sage could not see anything special about her. This was the most special thing about her. With their cultivation, eyesight, supernatural powers, and demonic aura, they could not see the depth of the other party. This meant that the other party was not simple. Seeing that Wang Lin and Ning Wanga were standing together as if they were companions, the great sage Zhu Jian and the other demons could not help but look more serious. The strength of the opponent was extraordinary. They might not be able to win quickly even if it was 3 against 2. If they delayed a little longer, the other experts of Xianmen Tianzong might arrive. If Lin Feng himself came here, it would be difficult for the 3 of them to even escape. The situation was delicate. Although the return of the Gautama Buddha from the black hole was beyond everyone's expectations, Lin Feng had successfully achieved his expected goal. The people of the Golden Rock Great Sage could not even protect themselves. If there were no major changes, they would basically announce their withdrawal from the war between the 2 realms. The situation was beginning to develop in the direction of the human clan. At least outside the mysterious sea, the situation in the vast 1,000 worlds was becoming more and more favorable to the human clan. As for Lin Feng himself, his actions were becoming more and more flexible. There was more room for planning and activities. The Heavenly Charm Great Sage was busy trying to kill the Golden Rock Great Sage, and her subordinates had also begun to wipe out the demon race under the Golden Rock Great Sage. Under such circumstances, it was obviously unwise to provoke the celestial sect of the celestial sects. For the sake of that ring, I have no choice but to offend Xianmen Tianzong. We must get that ring. If there are any unexpected changes, report to me, and I will personally come to deal with it. Thinking of the conversation he had with the enchantress before he left, the great sage Zhu Jian stared at Wang Lin with one eye, and a cold light flashed in his other eye. Slowly, he looked at Wang Lin and said, "We must get that ring from Sikong." Then, he did not waste any more words. He held his long tail in his mouth and stood up. He stretched out his left arm, and black light gathered in his originally empty hand, forming a giant bow. The great sage Zhu Jian's right hand pulled the bowstring, and a black arrow formed. He knocked it on the bow and pointed it at Wang Lin. There was a black hole at the tip of the arrow that was devouring everything around it. As he loosened his right hand, white light shot out from the black hole, and a black and white light arrow shot out. It transcended time and space and shot directly at Wang Lin. From the moment the arrow left the bowstring to the moment it hit its target, there seemed to be no process. The great sage Zhu Jian shot the arrow, and his opponent was hit. Only experts who had a deep understanding of the power of time and space could see the arrow's trajectory. His cultivation has also improved compared to when he was in the Sea of Stars. Back then, although it was the great demon's clone that entered the Sea of Stars, Wang Lin had witnessed the intense battle between Shi Tianhao and the great sage Zhu Jian. Among the disciples under Lin Feng, Shi Tianhao was one of those who had the deepest understanding of time and space among those of the same cultivation level. It was easier for him to deal with great sage Zhu Jian than the others, but he was also surrounded by danger at that time. Wang Lin's understanding of time and space was not inferior to Shi Tianhao's, but his understanding of space was slightly inferior. However, he had his own ways to deal with the great sage Zhu Jian. The moment the illusion disappeared, Wang Lin used the 3 lives stone. As soon as the great sage Zhu Jian moved, Wang Lin started to calculate the trajectory of the great sage Zhu Jian's attack. Then, he used the ancient and present world divine art. The black and white door opened, and after analyzing the changes in time, it blocked the great sage Zhu Jian's attack trajectory. The void shook, and the wave-chasing demon arrow appeared in front of the ancient and present world divine art. The ancient and present world was almost penetrated, and it collapsed. However, the great sage Zhu Jian's arrow could not do anything to Wang Lin. The great sage Zhu Jian's only eye shone brightly. As expected, the disciples of Xianmen Tianzong are all extraordinary. Wang Lin took the great sage Zhu Jian's arrow head-on, and he did not feel good. Although he did not suffer any damage, he felt that it was not convenient for him to continue using the ancient and present world divine art. Although it was not obvious, if he continued to take the arrow head-on, the result would only get worse. In the near future, Wang Lin would not be able to use the ancient and present world divine art. By that time, it would be difficult for Wang Lin to fight the great sage Zhu Jian again. The crystal that guided the Yingzhou Celestial Mountain's power was broken, so it was up to him now. However, since he was in the Yingzhou Ocean, he still had the upper hand. At least, he did not have to worry about the illusions on the battlefield, and the great sage Zhu Jian and the other big demons had to pay attention to them. However, Wang Lin was not someone who would take a beating passively. After taking the great sage Zhu Jian's arrow, Wang Lin's eyes shone coldly. He made a hand seal, and the Tsangtian Dao Jian appeared next to him. The Tsangtian Dao Jian's treasure, the sword firmament, was formed by the great sage Zhu Jian's primordial spirit. He pointed his finger at the great sage Zhu Jian, and the northwest nether heavenly sword's sword Dao of the great 9 heavens magical sword was unleashed. Wang Lin was like a shadow, and it was hard for the great sage Zhu Jian to locate them. During the battle in the Sea of Stars, he and Shi Tianhao worked together to fight the great sage Zhu Jian, so he was familiar with this demon and had a lot of battle experience. Seizing this opportunity, Wang Lin and the Tsangtian Dao Jian took the initiative to attack the great sage Zhu Jian. The great sage Zhu Jian's physical strength was strong, and the demon arrows were terrifying. However, he was not good at defense, so he had to be careful of the fierce attacks from Wang Lin and the Tsangtian Dao Jian. As he summoned the Tsangtian Dao Jian, Wang Lin also summoned the mysterious sky god sealing flag. The purple flag fluttered in the wind, and as the flag flashed, the Hall Master of the Underworld Hall, Su Anda, appeared and fought with the Fey Great Sage. Ning Wanga glanced at Wang Lin, and after a moment of silence, he stopped the revolving turtle Great Sage, who wanted to help the Great Sage Zhu Jian. The Great Sage Zhu Jian said, "Old turtle, be careful. I'm afraid that person is skilled in illusory technique." The revolving turtle Great Sage glanced at Ning Wanga with a doddering look. He decided not to help the Great Sage Zhu Jian. Instead, he unleashed his demonic power and turned it into a barrier, blocking the battlefield where Wang Lin and the Great Sage Zhu Jian were. Then, the revolving turtle Great Sage lay down on the ground, and became a turtle that hid its head. He changed his target from helping the great sage Zhu Jian to stopping Ning Wanga from helping Wang Lin. Ning Wanga's illusory techniques and dream techniques were profound, and the revolving turtle great sage had never experienced them before. However, being in the Ying Sea, he had to be careful of these things at all times. At this moment, he put all his effort into defense, and not only did he use his divine power and demon power to defend himself, but he also locked his mind to prevent himself from being tricked. Chapter 1153. Seeing the Tsangtian Dao Jian and the Xiantian God sealing banner, the great sage Zhu Jian, the Fei great sage, and the whirling turtle great sage frowned. These two great ascension grade Dharma treasures were extremely powerful. The Tsangtian Dao Jian had already reached the great ascension grade in ancient times and had never encountered a great calamity. After a long period of cultivation, its strength was even stronger than many human Dao integration realm experts. Although the Xiantian God sealing banner itself had no combat power, the banner had bound the primordial spirits of many experts. Among them, the former lord of the underworld hall, the youngest disciple of the king of the underworld, Su Anda, was the most powerful. Even without a Dharma treasure, he could fight against most of the great demons at the unification of the stars and souls realm with his bare hands. In addition to the two great ascension grade Dharma treasures, Wang Lin's own mystical abilities and magic power were also incomparable to when he had just entered the primordial spirit realm. In particular, he had many strange and unpredictable techniques that shocked the great demons. However, the person who was even more unexpected to the great sage Zhu Jian and the others was Ning Wanga, an expert who had already begun to experience tribulations and was proficient in the illusory Dao and dream Dao. Attacking in an environment like the Ying Sea was impossible to defend against. They even had to be cautious when looking at their companions to prevent being trapped by the illusory Dao. When the battle really started, the great sage Zhu Jian realized that the situation was very awkward for them. Under the current conditions, even if no one else came to help Xianmen Tianzong, they would not be able to gain any advantage if they fought with Wang Lin and the others. Thinking of this, the great sage Zhu Jian's originally firm conviction wavered a little. He did not want to fight to the death with Wang Lin, at least not in the Ying Sea. Wang Lin looked at the other party coldly. He put his palms together and activated the supreme art of destruction again. The door of Emperor Yan's hall opened, and two wheels, one black and one white, spun rapidly inside. The white wheel suddenly disappeared, and the black wheel spun faster and faster. A terrifying black light was emitted from it, and with the help of the supreme art of destruction, it shot toward the great sage Zhu Jian. The great sage Zhu Jian snorted coldly, nocked an arrow, and shot a light arrow. It accurately hit the black light and blocked Wang Lin's attack. Unexpectedly, a radiance flashed above Wang Lin's head, and a door suddenly opened. It was half black and half white. The left half of the door was as black as ink, and the relief on it was exaggerated and distorted, giving off an absurd and exaggerated feeling. Meanwhile, the right half was as white as jade, and the style of the relief on the door was simple, but not crude. Instead, it gave off a natural feeling of simplicity and authenticity. The third realm of Wang Lin's four symbols realm, the true and false realm. The world of true and false blurred the boundaries between reality and illusion. It acted on the point where the black light from Wang Lin's Emperor Yan's hall and the great sage Zhu Jian's turbid wave demon arrow intersected. In that instant, both parties were frozen in place. In the next moment, the gate of the true and false world suddenly closed. As light and shadow flashed, the chasing wave demon arrow and the black light actually passed by each other without touching each other. The scene of the two colliding was like an illusion. The bubble burst, and everything ceased to exist, as if it had never happened. The great sage Zhu Jian's expression changed slightly. Turning real into false? The changes of the Tao of true and false also depended on the difference in power levels between the two parties. Although the great sage Zhu Jian was not proficient in this Tao, he had come this far and cultivated to such a level. No matter how limited his knowledge of the great Tao of heaven and earth was, he still had a certain degree of exposure to them. A turbid wave demon arrow shot out, shaking time and space, and fusing all kinds of power and concept. It was not an easy task to use the Tao of true and false to shake its existence. But now this scene appeared before the great sage Zhu Jian's eyes. The great sage Zhu Jian, who had been shaken by Wang Lin's true and false worlds, 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 true and false worlds transformation. However, after taking such an attack, the big bow in the great sage Zhu Jian's hand was directly distorted and could not maintain its original shape. The powerful nirvana death will also made the great sage Zhu Jian raise his eyebrows. Feeling the power concept of annihilating everything and returning everything to death, the great sage Zhu Jian snorted coldly and dispersed the big bow that was condensed from demon power in his hand. The flesh and blood on his left arm began to throb violently. Like a bird spreading its wings, two eerie white bones popped out from his left arm and fixed themselves on his wrist. They curved and extended in two directions like two huge white bone blades, drawing out two mysterious but eerie and mournful arcs. The two thick white bones that extended to both sides extended a dark red bloodline from the top of each of them. They connected in the void between them and formed a blood-red bowstring. The great sage Zhu Jian plucked the bowstring with his right hand, and a white demon arrow that was mixed with traces of blood-red light instantly shot out. It urged Wang Lin to block the black light that was already close to him. However, this sudden turn of events caused his movements to pause for a moment. On the other side, the sword of the Way of the Heavens had already unleashed the sword path of the heavenly sword of the West. It turned into a beam of faint green light and approached great sage Zhu Jian, attacking him. The big bow that was attached to the great sage Zhu Jian's left arm seemed huge, but it was extremely flexible under his control. In just a twirl, it turned into balls of white light that shielded him tightly, not giving the Tsangtian Dao Jian any chance to escape. Wang Lin's face was expressionless as he continued to attack. He wanted to join forces with the Tsangtian Dao Jian to attack the great sage Zhu Jian. The great sage Zhu Jian in the white light suddenly leaped and broke through layers of void, increasing the distance between him and his opponent again. Wang Lin and the Tsangtian Dao Jian chased after him. Suddenly, the great sage Zhu Jian turned around and pulled the bone bow in his left arm. He plucked the bowstring with his right claw, and a few light arrows shot out. Facing the great sage Zhu Jian's sudden attack, Wang Lin and the Tsangtian Dao Jian did not dare to be careless. If they were hit by the turbid wave demon arrows, the consequences would be unpredictable. Wang Lin took a deep breath. The yellow spring's true water turned into the river of forgetfulness and flowed continuously. A huge black stone bridge appeared on the river. It was the Bridge of Helplessness. The black wheel in Emperor Yan's hall disappeared and was replaced by a white wheel. The surging white light landed on the Bridge of Helplessness and lifted Wang Lin up to dodge the turbid wave demon arrows. He continued to chase after the great sage Zhu Jian, not stopping at all. Seeing this, the great sage Zhu Jian frowned and his spine twitched. However, just as Wang Lin was dealing with the great sage Zhu Jian's sneak attack, his eyes suddenly flashed, and he felt his spiritual power becoming unstable. The dark void great sage had been hiding in the dark, waiting for an opportunity to escape. Not only did the enchantress value the ring, but the golden rock great sage also valued it. The dark void great sage would do his best to protect it and not compromise with his opponent. However, now that the ring had been taken by Wang Lin, the dark void great sage would not ask for trouble. At this moment, he was seriously injured and had lost the ability to take back the ring. He was already very lucky to be able to leave this place safely. Without the ring in his hand, Wang Lin and the great sage Zhu Jian would not keep an eye on him while they were fighting. Although he was unwilling, the dark void great sage gave up the ring decisively and focused on escaping. The dark void great sage suddenly made a mess. He turned into a beam of golden light and shuttled around the bottom of the river of forgetfulness, flashing and churning violently. He wanted to break through the suppression of the Yellow Spring's true water and rush out from the bottom of the river. Wang Lin expressionlessly lowered his head to look at the golden light. Without saying anything, the Yellow Spring's pearl suddenly appeared and fell into the river of forgetfulness. The river of forgetfulness flowed ceaselessly, but the silent river water emitted a strong energy wave, but there was still no movement. However, the golden light at the bottom of the river became more and more sluggish. It was obvious that it was not as active as before. At this moment, the great sage Zhu Jian drew his bow and arrows. A few white light arrows mixed with blood-red light shot toward Wang Lin. Compared to before, the blood-red light was even more intense. Wang Lin had no choice but to stop temporarily and deal with the demon arrows. However, his heart stirred slightly. He vaguely felt that other people were approaching the area where the battle was taking place. Moreover, their strength was not ordinary. A corner of the void suddenly turned red. The next moment, the entire world in this corner collapsed. Red light flickered incessantly, but there were no flames. However, the scorching temperature made people feel ominous, as if it was a sign of a fire. A giant bird that looked like a red-crowned crane but only had one leg flew out. Its body was blue with red spots, and its long beak was white. Seeing this demon, Wang Lin was slightly surprised. Bai Fong. This one-legged crane was Bai Fong, and it was the chief of the Bai Fong tribe, the current Bai Fong great sage. She was a great demon on the Union of Stars and Souls. She had always been a capable general under the command of the Golden Rock great sage. Now that she had suddenly appeared here, people couldn't help but pay attention to her. The great sage Zhui Jian, the great sage Fei, and the great sage Revolving Turtle didn't stop attacking, but a portion of their attention fell on the great sage of Bai Fong. As the great sage Fei fought with the Hall Master of the Underworld Hall, Su Anda, he looked at the great sage of Bai Fong strangely. Before this, the great sage Zhu Jian and the great sage Revolving Turtle had intercepted the great sage of Bai Fong, and he had been in charge of dealing with the great sage of Bai Fong. After he escaped, no one knew where he went. Now, he suddenly appeared in the Ing Sea and accurately found this place. Could it be that the Thunder Abyss Golden Rock escaped from the Enchantress Emperor and came here with her to help him? No, it can't be. The Golden Rock doesn't have that Yuta-skeleton anymore, and the Enchantress Emperor already has a way to restrict his speed. There's a 90% chance that he won't be able to escape. The great sage Fei stared at the great sage of Bai Fong. The appearance of the Fei caused a great drought in the world. The appearance of Bai Fong also caused fires. Both sides, one crane and one snake, had fought numerous times. The great sage Fei saw that the great sage of Bai Fong's expression was calm, and his heart couldn't help but stir. If she didn't come with the great sage of Golden Rock, that means, as he was thinking, the great sage of Bai Fong looked around and didn't say anything. Instead, she suddenly opened her mouth, and rays of multicolored light flew out from her mouth, illuminating the world. After the multicolored light flew into midair, it suddenly dispersed and transformed into 12 streams of light that surrounded the void around everyone. As the 12 streams of light extended, they were like 12 pillars of light that supported the heaven and earth. Being surrounded by these 12 pillars of light, the sea region in the Ing Sea seemed to be sealed off and became an independent world. Numerous images floated in the pillars of light. Azure Dragon, Phoenix, Qilin, Black Tortoise, True Ho, Heavenly Devil Ape, Extreme Spirit Divine Monkey, and so on were 12 kinds of extremely top-notch great demons. Each of them occupied a pillar of light, surrounding and looking down on the people in this world. When the great sage of Zhu Jian and the other great demons saw this, smiles instantly appeared on their faces. The great sage of Fei looked at the great sage of Baifeng. Since you have also submitted to the enchantress emperor, that means, slowly, the great sage of Baifeng opened his mouth and said, the great sage of Golden Rock has already been killed by the enchantress emperor. Chapter 1154. The Baifeng great sage's first words after appearing caused everyone present to fall silent. The golden light formed by the Baifeng great sage, who had been suppressed by Wang Lin at the bottom of the river of forgetfulness, began to struggle even more violently, wanting to rush out of the river of forgetfulness. For a moment, even Wang Lin could not stop him. The Baifeng great sage glanced at the golden light, lowered her head slightly, and said softly, Bukong, you have to think carefully about what your golden-winged rock clan should do next. Two images of light and shadow were reflected in her eyes. The first image of light and shadow originated from her own experience. In the image, a chaotic and blurry figure, whose silhouette could barely be seen, appeared in front of the Baifeng great sage. Although the figure's appearance could not be seen clearly, the terrifying fluctuations of power and aura indicated that it was the enchantress. The enchantress spread out one hand, and above his palm floated a ball of golden light. Within the ball of light, there was an existence that shone brightly, like a talisman emblem. Seeing this talisman, the Baifeng great sage, who was at the bottom of the river of forgetfulness, suddenly stopped struggling. His whole person seemed to be stunned. Wang Lin could sense through the river of forgetfulness that the Baifeng great sage was exuding a sense of disbelief, shock, and despair. Wang Lin looked at the ball of golden light and understood. It's the real spirit divine tattoo of the Golden Rock great sage. The Baifeng great sage in the light and shadow clearly recognized this item, and was so shocked that she could not speak. When she came back to her senses, her eyes flickered continuously, and she was silent in thought. In the image, the enchantress did not seem to be in a hurry. Instead, she flicked her finger lightly, and a spot of light flew in front of the Baifeng great sage. The spot of light unfolded, and it was also an image of light and shadow. This image of light and shadow was the same as the scene projected by the Baifeng great sage's other eye at this moment. The scene presented by her other eye was a reproduction of the scene shown by the enchantress. In this image, layers of fog spread out, covering the sky, and in the chaotic fog, there was a constantly flickering golden light. However, no matter how hard the golden light moved, it could not break through the obstruction of the fog. Wang Lin narrowed his eyes slightly. The golden figure in the mist was much stronger than Neptune Great Sage. Whether it was speed or strength, it was superior in all aspects. That kind of speed completely surpassed the reaction speed of most people in the world, as if the boundaries of time and space were blurred. The speed of a person's thoughts was extremely fast, but the speed of this golden light was even faster than a person's thoughts. When a person's speed reached a certain level, even if he had weaknesses, openings and flaws, they would become insignificant, because the opponent would not have the time to discover his weaknesses, openings and flaws. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. The loopholes and flaws in the previous instant had disappeared in the next instant. Perhaps they had been replaced by other questions, but if one wanted to capture these new flaws, they would no longer exist in the next instant. Those with powerful divine sense such as Wang Lin might be able to detect the flaws and loopholes, but after discovering them, it was too late to put them into action, so they could only watch the opportunity slip away from their eyes. This was the case with the golden light in front of him at this moment. It was naturally Golden Rock Great Sage. At the same level of cultivation, the number of experts who could have such speed could be counted on one's fingers. The extreme speed he was displaying right now was actually faintly a bit faster than when he faced Yan Nanlai and Lin Feng in the black hole. With such speed, he could even fight against experts in the Dharma Ending Realm. Some experts in the Dharma Ending Realm, or experts in the Dharma-ending realm with magical powers, would also find it very difficult to catch the Golden Rock Great Sage's traces. It could be imagined that if this demon could completely complete the initial ordeal and enter the Dharma-ending realm, his cultivation would certainly be even more powerful, and his speed would be even more terrifying. But obviously, the enchantress had long been prepared for this. That ball of fog was formed by the enchantress's magical powers. After it spread out, it firmly trapped the Golden Rock Great Sage, making it impossible for him to escape. Wang Lin carefully observed it, and found that this ball of demon fog was different from the space boundary that the revolving Turtle Saint had used to seal the space and block the Void Saint. The revolving Turtle Saint's space boundary was equivalent to a wall, limiting the Void Saint's movement space to a certain area. At the same time, it prevented him from breaking through the void boundaries to escape to the void battlefield or the dark void outside the vast thousand domains. This ball of demon fog was everywhere within its coverage area. No matter where the Golden Rock Great Sage rushed to, the demon fog kept pressing on him from all directions. From the perspective of Wang Lin and the others, the golden light that the Golden Rock Great Sage had transformed into was still majestic and unfathomable. His speed was so fast that it was hard for the eyes to follow him. But in reality, within the demon fog, he seemed to be struggling to move. In the eyes of the enchantress, there was no speed to speak of. Instead, he seemed to be moving very slowly. Wang Lin looked at the ball of strange demon fog and thought to himself that this was the tip of the iceberg, that the enchantress had finally revealed his strength. He suddenly thought of something and glanced at Ning Wanga from the corner of his eye. He saw that Ning Wanga was staring blankly at the ball of demon fog with a puzzled look in her eyes. In the image of light and shadow, the demon fog separated them. Wang Lin and the others could not see the reaction of the Golden Rock Great Sage in the fog. They could only see that the power that the Golden Rock Great Sage was unleashing was getting stronger and stronger. He was really starting to fight with his life on the line. A layer of purple light had already been plated around the golden light, turning it purplish gold. As it went on, the purple color became more and more intense. The entire light finally turned purple, dazzling and terrifying. Everyone who was watching felt their hearts sink, even though they were just looking at the traces left behind by the light and shadow. But the demon fog that surrounded him did not dissipate. Within the fog, streams of light could be vaguely seen pulsating, like a huge net. The chaotic and blurry light on the net kept moving and jumping, causing the trapped purple light to be unable to break free. It was like a flying insect stuck in a spider's web. Suddenly, a layer of purple light appeared on the net of light. It was not dazzling and was faint, but similar to the purple light that appeared on the body of the Golden Rock Great Sage. It was as if they came from the same source. This purple light disappeared in a flash, and the purple light on the body of the Golden Rock Great Sage suddenly became brighter. In the center of the purple light, there was also a golden light flashing. Thousands of golden lights suddenly burst out, like a golden rainstorm that swept through the world. Between the golden rainstorm, a layer of purple light enveloped the area and spread in all directions. The light veins in the demon fog broke one by one and then shattered and dissipated, as if they were torn apart by the golden rainstorm. Wherever the rainstorm passed, the thick layers of fog gradually dispersed. It was hit by the dense light rain and could not continue, so it could only dissipate helplessly. Seeing this, the Zhu Jian Great Sage, the Fei Great Sage, and the Revolving Turtle Great Sage were not dispirited or disappointed. Instead, they looked at each other and laughed together. They looked extremely happy. As for the Bifong Great Sage, he was silent. The golden light that the Nyekong Great Sage had transformed into, which was suppressed at the bottom of the river of forgetfulness in Wang Lin, shook violently again. It gave off a feeling of complete despair and desperation. In the image of light and shadow, the demon fog dissipated, revealing two figures, one big and one small, facing each other from afar. The big figure was like a mountain, standing between heaven and earth. The feathers on its body were golden and shiny, and there were 3 black feathers on its forehead. Its eyes were also pitch black, and its pupils flashed with a demonic golden light. It was the Golden Rock Great Sage. The smaller figure on the opposite side looked no bigger than an ordinary person. Compared to the body of the Golden Rock Great Sage, it was so small that it was disproportionately small. This figure was chaotic and blurry, and only a silhouette could be seen. It was the enchantress. But what was different from before was that there was a broken dark cloud above the head of the enchantress. At this moment it was condensing again. The scattered clouds in the surroundings continued to converge on the top of her head, once again condensing into a dark cloud. The Golden Rock Great Sage did not seem to be injured at all. His breath was still steady and his eyes were still sharp. But deep in his eyes there was a look of regret. "You win, Tian Mei," the Golden Rock Great Sage said silently. The next moment, his body suddenly flashed with golden light. His whole body seemed to have completely turned into light, turning into a huge light shadow. Then, the light shadow was broken bit by bit, scattering in the surrounding void. The body of the Golden Rock Great Sage seemed to have turned into a huge sand sculpture, disappearing with the wind. The sand peeled off one by one, and the speed was getting faster and faster. A rain of light seemed to fall from the heavens and earth beneath him. The Golden Rock Great Sage's gaze was calm, cold, and sharp as ever. There was no anger or unwillingness, only regret and disappointment. Although his race of golden-winged rocks had been famous in the vast land of Heaven Wasteland for a long time, they had never been the strongest race. Occasionally, because their ancestors had been subdued by Buddha and turned into the great rock Wisdom King, they had even been ridiculed by the other demon races. It was only until the generation of the Golden Rock Great Sage, who had devoted himself to planning and putting in a lot of effort, did they see an unprecedented revival. Other than the phoenix and the Kuan Pung that was protected by the phoenix, most of the other bird-type demons had been taken under his command. The golden-winged rocks had also produced many strong practitioners. He had obtained many opportunities, and Yudu Ming Hua had reappeared because of him. The remains of Yudu had caused the other great demons of the Age of Decline to be cautious and not to touch him easily. He had also obtained a portion of the flesh and blood of Golden Cicada, which allowed the strength of himself and the strong practitioners under him to grow together. After many years of hard work, the Golden Rock Great Sage had become what he was today. But now, success or failure was all for naught. The main force of the Taishu Temple and the Haotian Mirror had left the Divine Land to enter the mysterious sea. Lin Feng's true body had arrived at the ancestral land of the primordial devil apes, Spirit Abyss Mountain. The Divine Land was empty, so he had taken the chance to open up the black hole above the great Thunderclap Monastery's ancestral land. He had obtained a large amount of pre-celestial primordial essence left behind after Yu Huang Tianhai's death, which should have been the cornerstone for him to advance further. If it wasn't for Lin Feng's unexpected return to the Divine Land, if it wasn't for Lin Feng's special methods to resolve the threat of the remains of Yudu, and most importantly, if it wasn't for Buddha setting up a ritual to obtain a large amount of pre-celestial primordial essence, Golden Rock Great Sage would have gained a lot from this trip. But it was a pity that there were no ifs in this world. One wrong step would lead to many wrong steps. A small change could cause a series of chain reactions, causing the situation to far exceed the expectations of ordinary people. In the war between the two worlds, all the top strong practitioners had gathered. They stared at everyone except themselves. If anyone showed a flaw, they could be wiped out at any time. Not long after the war started, the first strong force to retreat appeared. The people of the Golden Rock Great Sage collapsed. Chapter 1155. Watching the Golden Rock Great Sage's huge body gradually disintegrate, Wang Lin's eyes were indifferent. His attention was focused on the enchantress in the image of light and shadow. He saw the dark cloud above the enchantress's head gradually merge into her blurry figure. The image shown by the Baifeng Great Sage's eye stopped there, while the other eye showed the appearance of the enchantress coming to the Baifeng Great Sage. The heavenly charm Great Sage's finger tapped lightly on the image of light and shadow, which was also the content just now. Seeing this scene and the real spirit divine inscription of the Golden Rock Great Sage on the heavenly charm Great Sage's hand, the Baifeng Great Sage already understood the situation at that time without the heavenly charm Great Sage saying anything more. She was silent for a long time. After a sigh, she slightly bent her slender neck and lowered her head to the enchantress to show her submission. The enchantress said, "Take this treasure to find Mo Ling and Zhu Jian. Nothing must go wrong with the Nyekong Golden Rock and the thing in his hand. If you meet the people of Xianmen Tianzong in Yinghai, there is no need to avoid them except for the master of the celestial sect." A stream of light fell from the enchantress's hand to the Baifeng Great Sage. The Baifeng Great Sage took the stream of light and wanted to say something, but stopped on second thought. The enchantress continued in a low and hoarse voice, "I will go to the Deep Soul Mountain in Infinite Wasteland and restrain the master of the celestial sect from returning to the Deep Soul Mountain. He seems to have the ability to swap places with his doppelganger across two worlds. But compared to Yinghai, he still values Yujing Mountain more. Don't try to get any ideas about Yingzhou Immortal Mountain. You can do whatever you want in other aspects. Prioritize the thing in the Nyekong Golden Rock's hand." The Baifeng Great Sage lowered his head and replied, "Yes, Enchantress Emperor." At this point, the image of light in the Baifeng Great Sage's eye also stopped and disappeared. Wang Lin looked around at the 12 huge light pillars that surrounded them. Is this the light that the enchantress gave to the Baifeng Great Sage? Wang Lin's gaze turned slightly solemn as he looked at the figures of the greater demons floating in the 12 light pillars and sensed the changes in the surrounding spirit qi. This place seems to have isolated the flow of spirit qi in the sanctuary ocean, turning this place into an independent world? The sanctuary ocean could be seen everywhere. The white clouds that lingered in front of everyone gradually dissipated and disappeared without a trace. The undulating surface of the sea below seemed to have frozen, isolated from everyone as if they were in a different world. Wang Lin frowned. Why does this look a little like the demon race's 12 sacred heavens' wonderful flower formation? Ever since the news of Tenryugen's mid-tribulation was confirmed, the war between the two worlds could break out at any time. Xianmen Tianzong and the others had also gained a better understanding of the demons in Infinite Mainland. Although he had never seen it with his own eyes, Wang Lin could still recognize the 12 huge light pillars in front of him. It was extremely similar to the legendary 12 sacred heavens' wonderful flower formation. The 12 sacred heavens' wonderful flower formation was the same as the 9 glory sky shattering array. It was a top-notch array formation of the demon race and had extraordinary power. The conditions to set it up were also extremely harsh, but it had endless power. However, ever since the war between the two worlds, this array formation had gradually disappeared. No one expected it to be in the hands of the enchantress. In the war between the two worlds, the enchantress had also gradually begun to reveal the power he had accumulated, which was shocking. Wang Lin sized it up carefully. It's not a complete array formation. It's just a projection of the array formation. It can't really block the void of the Ying Sea. Be it inside or outside, it can be broken with just a slight movement. The Baifeng Great Sage's expression was calm. It's indeed just the power of a projection. It's not the real 12 sacred heavens' wonderful flower formation. However, the array formation in the enchantress's hands is the real deal. She let out a long cry and chanted an incantation. A large amount of light flew out of her body and was absorbed by the 12 light pillars around her. A large amount of light condensed into talisman characters in the sky. They were mysterious and unfathomable, imprinted in the void. Wang Lin's gaze focused. Among the 12 light pillars, 4 of them became increasingly dazzling. The 4 light pillars that reached into the sky showed the 4 major demon races. They were the Azure Dragon, which was also the primordial Sky Dragon, the primordial demon ape race's extreme spiritual monkey, Hun Dun of the 4 ferocious beasts, and the golden-winged roc. The primordial Sky Dragon was nowhere to be seen. Its entire body was shrouded in majestic golden auspicious clouds, exuding a feeling that made one's heart palpitate. Within the golden auspicious clouds, a pair of eyes appeared. When the eyes were open, the sky was bright and it was day. When the eyes were closed, the sky was dark and it was night. It was the Candle Dragon's demonic realm. However, it was also presented on the primordial Sky Dragon. It displayed the changes of time and the 4 seasons. It was extremely profound. As for the extreme spiritual monkey, it was completely white and had a pair of faint blue eyes. Its figure was erratic and unpredictable. Not to mention the 12 sacred heavens' wonderful flower formation, even the Ing Sea and the entire Great Thousand World seemed to not be able to contain it. In the 3rd light pillar there was an incomparably huge beast. It looked like a yellow sack and was red like elixir fire. It had 6 legs and 4 wings, but it did not have a face. As this huge beast breathed, the void shattered and turned into nothingness. It was the chaos that was known as the 4 ferocious beasts along with the Taotai, Taowu, and Cheongqi. In the 4th light pillar there was a golden-winged roc. Its figure was erratic, sometimes transforming into a huge golden rock, and sometimes transforming into a stream of light. It kept flashing in the void at an extreme speed, blurring time and space. These 4 light pillars became more and more dazzling. Even the other 8 light pillars were gradually disappearing. The Baifeng Great Sage let out a long cry. Strange syllables seemed to reverberate between heaven and earth. The syllables were not in the human language, but through his divine consciousness, Wang Lin could vaguely figure out the meaning. Time and space wheel wonderful flower formation. These 4 light pillars gathered together and directly blurred the boundary power of the void where everyone was. At this moment the space suddenly changed. It was actually going to transfer all of them out of the Ing Sea. Wang Lin's eyes were cold as he attacked the Baifeng Great Sage and the huge demon formation. This time, it was the Zhu Jian Great Sage's turn to stop him. The Zhu Jian Great Sage drew his longbow made of white bones and took a deep breath. His blood and qi were vibrating all over his body. A large amount of blood and qi emerged on the surface of his majestic corporeal body and turned into white light arrows in the Zhu Jian Great Sage's right claw. The tips of these light arrows were all blood-red, and their killing intent soared into the sky. As the Zhu Jian Great Sage waved his hand, a large number of white light blood arrows shot toward Wang Lin. In the face of such a large number of turbid wave demon arrows, even if Wang Lin had the help of the Tsangtian Dao Jian, he had to stop temporarily. Otherwise, he would be injured by the demon arrows. Wang Lin's face was expressionless, and his eyes were firm. In the face of the arrow rain in front of him, he did not choose to retreat. Layers of light flickered above his head, and the stone of 3 lives appeared. On the mirror-like stone surface, mysterious trajectories appeared, capturing the paths of the Zhu Jian Great Sage's turbid wave demon arrows. Because the Zhu Jian Great Sage's cultivation was profound, even Wang Lin could not accurately determine the trajectories. However, he could only make a rough prediction, and it was already of great help, allowing him to dodge the arrows one after another. At the same time, the mystiques of the ancient and modern world were also unleashed. The gate opened, collecting a portion of the turbid wave demon arrows that Wang Lin could not dodge in time. The bridge of helplessness appeared under Wang Lin's feet, helping him to move forward. He wanted to pass the Zhu Jian Great Sage and attack the Baifeng Great Sage and the 12 Heavenly Wonders array design. The gate of Emperor Yan's hall opened, and the white wheel disappeared. The black wheel spun at an unprecedented speed. But at this moment, a cold light suddenly flashed in the Zhujian great sage's eyes. The white bones that extended to both sides of his left wrist, which were like scimitars, suddenly retracted and returned to the flesh of his arm. Next, he patted the spine at the back of his head. Black light flashed, and another huge bow that was formed from white bones appeared in his claws. This huge bow was even larger, and its segments were like the Zhujian great sage's spine that had been extracted. With a curve, it became a huge bow. A dark red line of blood shot out and landed on the huge bow. The Zhujian great sage slashed his claws, creating an arrow of blood, and knocked it on the huge white bone bow. This was an arrow that was completely blood-red, without any other color. It contained a murderous and vicious aura that had never been seen since the Zhujian great sage and Wang Lin exchanged blows. The Zhujian great sage let out a low growl. He loosened his claws, and the dark red blood arrow turned into a beam of bloody light and shot out. Even Wang Lin's stone of 3 lives couldn't catch a trace of it. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed slightly. If it was the turbid wave demon arrow from before, he had already made up his mind to take this arrow head-on and break through the Zhujian great sage's blockade, even if he was injured. He would first break the 12 heavenly wonder array design that was in operation and stop the Zhujian great sage's large-scale teleportation. However, facing this extremely ferocious blood arrow that was condensed from the Zhujian great sage's entire strength, he wouldn't have an easy time if he took it head-on. If it was a life-and-death battle with the Zhujian great sage, Wang Lin wouldn't be afraid. However, if he was hit by this arrow, he wouldn't be able to stop the activation of the demon design. That was the key to the battle. Wang Lin wasn't afraid of death, but that didn't mean he was willing to suffer unnecessary losses. The black roulette in Emperor Yan's hall suddenly disappeared and was replaced by the white roulette. The huge, pitch-black hall was covered in a layer of white light. It suddenly swept across the air and blocked great sage Zhujian's blood arrow. The blood arrow exploded and turned into a huge demonic vortex. It spun continuously like a huge beast that could swallow the heavens and earth. This huge beast directly swallowed Wang Lin's Emperor Yan's hall and pounced towards Wang Lin himself. Wang Lin's expression didn't change. The gate to the ancient and modern realm above his head opened again and collided with the huge beast-like demonic vortex. The rapidly spinning demonic vortex seemed to gradually stop, and the speed of its rotation slowed down. However, from the gradually slowing vortex, a large number of turbid wave demon arrows with weaker strength shot out again. The ancient and modern realm couldn't hold on any longer and shattered. There were even more demon arrows that shot out towards Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression turned slightly cold. The bridge of helplessness lifted him up and dodged to the side, but a demon arrow still pierced through his arm. In addition, there were 3 more turbid wave demon arrows nailed onto the bridge of helplessness, gradually breaking the huge black stone bridge into 4 pieces. However, Songtian Daojian had already taken this opportunity to attack the Baifeng Great Sage and the demon design. However, a spatial barrier suddenly blocked in front of him. It was the mystique of the revolving turtle Great Sage. Chapter 1156. Seeing that the revolving turtle sage was blocking their way, Wang Lin and Jian Songtian frowned and looked to the side. There, they saw a scene that made their hearts sink. Ning Wanga wasn't attacked, but she didn't attack the revolving turtle sage either. She stood alone in the void, and the colorful lights around her kept flashing, but it looked very chaotic. What was even more chaotic was Ning Wanga's eyes. Her eyes had no focus at all, and were filled with struggle and confusion. When the great sage of Baifeng appeared and released the projection of the 12 sacred heavens' wonderful flower formation, Ning Wanga's mood was already a little off. She felt the demonic aura and the fluctuation of divine sense and thoughts contained in the demonic formation, which made her feel confused and confused. When the formation was completely activated, and the 4 powers of the demon clan, who were proficient in the profound principles of time and space, activated the changes of the time and space wonderful flower formation. The fluctuations of the power of the time and space wonderful flower formation also reached its peak. Even though she had already begun to experience the tribulation, she still couldn't maintain a calm state of mind. Ningguang was proficient in illusions and dreamcraft. Her spirit and state of mind were originally stronger than other cultivators of the same realm. When she fell into the dream realm created by Wang Lin, other than the last moment when her state of mind was completely out of balance, she could still maintain a calm state of mind when she was in the dream realm, or when she broke free from the dream realm and found out that she had fallen into Wang Lin's hands. But at this moment, the fluctuations of the mana around Ningguang were chaotic. She seemed to have fallen into madness. She had almost never experienced such an experience in the thousands of years that she could remember. But now she was really in such a situation. It was as if she had been possessed by a demon. But her sudden change had also caused trouble for Wang Lin and Songtian Daojian. Although Ningguang had obviously lost the power to fight, the revolving turtle sage didn't take the opportunity to attack her. Instead, he blocked the attack of Songtian Daojian for the Baifeng Great Sage. On the other side, Wang Lin had risked his own injuries to stop the Great Sage Zhu Jian. At the same time, he had actually drawn all of the Great Sage Zhu Jian's attention, fighting for an opportunity for the Songtian Daojian. Unfortunately, this opportunity was destroyed by the Great Sage Revolving Turtle. Wang Lin's turbid wave demon arrow was equivalent to taking it for nothing. Under the urgency of the situation, Wang Lin had no time to investigate Ningguang's sudden change. In Emperor Yan's hall, the ancient and modern world and the Bridge of Helplessness were destroyed consecutively. At the instant when the turbid wave demon arrow was about to hit him, there was a flash of light above his head. Another door opened. This was the mystique of the true and false world. The resolute method of turning fake into real allowed Wang Lin to blur the boundary between reality and illusion, forcibly erasing the fact that the turbid wave arrow had pierced through his arm. However, the great sage Zhu Jian had fought with Wang Lin for a while. He knew that this white-haired youth's methods were deliberately unpredictable and ever-changing. He had a deep understanding of the Tao of changing reality and illusion. Therefore, at this moment, although the great sage Zhu Jian was a little dispirited, under the activation of his spiritual consciousness, the arrow that had finally hit Wang Lin underwent a new change. The arrow that was formed from demonic power suddenly exploded and turned into a turbulent flow of demonic aura. At the same time that Wang Lin's mystique of the true and false world was activated, the arrow itself also underwent a change. The original reality changed to another kind of reality. Regardless of whether it was the spiritual power of Wang Li's true and false world or the great sage Zhu Jian's spiritual consciousness controlling the demonic arrow, they all happened at the same time. This caused the effect of the true and false world to change the reality of an event to be confused and interfered with. It was unable to play its intended role. The demonic arrow that had pierced through Wang Lin's arm disappeared. However, the demonic power that had exploded had torn off one of Wang Lin's arms. Light flashed and flowed in the huge crack. It was extremely difficult to heal it. Wang Lin's current form was the human form of his primordial spirit. He did not have real flesh and blood. The light flowing in the wound was the essence of his great path. Wang Lin, who had been injured by the great sage Zhu Jian, continued to move forward. He ignored the great sage Zhu Jian and continued to attack the great sage Baifeng. He wanted to stop the wonderful time and space wheel formation from activating. His expression was cold and indifferent. His gaze was firm, as if he was not affected by his injury at all. Since he was already injured, he could not let this injury become worthless. Although the great sage Zhu Jian had injured him, the arrow just now had consumed a lot of his blood and energy. Under such circumstances, he could still protect himself. He wanted to stop Wang Lin, but his movements were inevitably a beat too slow. Wang Lin's target was still the Great Sage Bai Fang and the wonderful time and space wheel formation that was operating. As he had said before, this formation was only a projection of the real formation. It was not stable and would shatter if it suffered a certain amount of attack. On the other side, Wang Lin urged the Xiantian sealing flag with his mind. The Xiantian sealing flag fluttered in the wind, and rays of light flowed continuously. Su Anda, the lord of the underworld hall, who was under the control of the Xiantian sealing flag, narrowed his eyes slightly. He looked coldly at Wang Lin, but he had no choice but to change his target. He also attacked the Great Sage Bai Fang and the wonderful time and space wheel formation, completely ignoring the Great Sage Fei Yi's attack aimed at him. The Great Sage Revolving Turtle let out a low cry and crouched in the void. A large number of black and red talisman patterns appeared on his mottled turtle shell. These talismans flashed together and expanded with a rumble, turning into a huge barrier of light that seemed to envelop everyone within it. It first resisted the further stabs of the Sword of the Heavens, and then it blocked Su Anda's attack. However, the barrier of light was also shattered. A large number of sword lights and black flowing light bombarded the Great Sage Revolving Turtle's body. The old turtle shrank his limbs and head, and used all his strength to defend against the attacks of the man and the treasure. Even though he was proficient in the way of space and had an extremely strong defense, he was still suffering from the attack. There were even faint cracks on his turtle shell. But this slight delay allowed the Great Sage Fei Yi's attack to fall on Su Anda. It immediately injured the former Lord of the Underworld Hall, which made Su Anda feel a little depressed. Meanwhile, Wang Lin continued to rush toward the Bai Fang Great Sage and the 12 Sacred Heavens wonderful flower formation. But there were sharp arrows in the void. It was the Great Sage Zhu Jian who once again drew his bow and used the chasing wave demon arrow to stop Wang Lin. When he was fighting with Xianmen Tianzong in the desolate ancient Star Sea, the Great Sage Zhu Jian was almost exhausted after he shot out the most powerful blood arrow. But compared to that time, the demon magic of this demon had improved. Although his aura was much weaker now, he could still stop Wang Lin. Moreover, Wang Lin could clearly feel that the Great Sage Zhu Jian's condition was gradually recovering. Even if he continued to shoot the turbid wave demon arrow, it would not affect his recovery process. At the beginning of the fight, Wang Lin could vaguely feel that the Great Sage Zhu Jian had improved, but the improvement in the power of the turbid wave demon arrow was not obvious. At this moment, how could he not know that the Great Sage Zhu Jian's improvement over the years was mainly in his own recovery ability? His foundation was much stronger. Under such circumstances, the Great Sage Zhu Jian's explosive power might not have increased much, but his ability to continue fighting had greatly increased. Based on his current recovery speed, even if he continued to fight with Wang Lin, as long as he adopted a guerrilla strategy, the feeling of weakness in his body would gradually disappear in a short period of time. On the other side, Ning Wanga's situation also made Wang Lin frown. Although he and Master Lin Feng had guessed that Ning Wanga might have some connection with the enchantress, neither Lin Feng nor Wang Lin had expected that Ning Wanga would have such a huge reaction after coming into contact with the enchantress's supernatural power, aura, and divine sense. Moreover, it was a reaction that would cause the current situation to fall into the abyss. Although the situation was bad, Wang Lin's eyes were still calm. With a sudden thought, he released the River of Forgetfulness and the Underworld Pearl that were suppressing the Great Sage of Niekong. The golden light at the bottom of the River of Forgetfulness strangely became calm. After a moment, it suddenly rushed out and rushed towards the Great Sage of Bai Fang at the speed of lightning. The torrential River of Forgetfulness was silent, but it flowed endlessly. It followed closely behind the golden light and also rushed towards the opponent. However, the activation of the wondrous time and space wheel array did not require too much time. After the delay just now, the array had already taken effect. The 4 thick light pillars completely fused at this moment, turning into an extremely huge light pillar that enveloped everyone within it. It connected heaven and earth like a passageway, bringing everyone in the passageway to the void outside the ocean sea realm. The great sage of Nyekong, who had transformed into golden light, did not stop his actions. He continued to fiercely rush towards the great sage of Baifeng. Although he had been injured by the great sage of Zhujian's demon arrow, the aura that the great sage of Nyekong displayed at this moment was still extremely terrifying. The great sage of Golden Rock had already fallen. As the great sage of Bifang had said before, how the golden-winged rocks should continue to exist in the future and move forward was a problem that had to be faced squarely. Especially for the great sage of golden-winged rocks, who was second only to the great sage of Golden Rock race, this was a problem that had to be faced squarely. However, at this moment, the great sage of Nyekong's anger still erupted, and his target was the great sage of Bifang, who was originally a top expert under the command of the great sage of Golden Rock race, but had now defected to the enchantress. The great sage of Bifang let out a long cry, and a fiery red light flashed around his body. It was not a flame, but the fiery red demonic light made one's heart palpitate and felt extremely hot. The wondrous time and space wheel array had already been activated. There was no need for her to continue activating the array, and the great sage of Bifang had also regained his ability to move freely. She was originally a top great demon of the Star Soul Unification realm, and had achieved it even earlier than the great sage of Nyekong. Usually, because the golden-winged rocks were extremely gifted in speed, she did not have much of an advantage in a fight. However, now that the great sage of Nyekong was seriously injured, she naturally did not fear him. Moreover, because she had just defected to the enchantress, she would only put in more effort to fight the great sage of Nyekong in front of the great sage of Zhujian, the great sage of Fei, and the great sage of Revolving Turtle. However, the great sage of Zhujian had no time to care about the great sage of Bifang and the great sage of Nyekong at this moment. The array had officially been activated, and Wang Lin had completely given up and began to focus all his attention on the great sage of Zhujian. Chapter 1157. Ning Wanga stood blankly on the spot, her body stiff as if she had fallen into a daze. However, the 5-colored radiance around her kept flickering, showing that her current state was extremely unstable. The Revolving Turtle Great Sage glanced at Ning Wanga and thought, "This person is strange. Why would she suddenly fall into a state of qi deviation? However, it's best not to touch her for now, lest there be any unexpected changes, which would be bad. I'll deal with her after I deal with the others." The strength that Wang Lin displayed had already exceeded the expectations of the Revolving Turtle Great Sage, Zhu Jian, and the other great demons. Against a great demon like Zhu Jian, who had already gone through tribulations, although Wang Lin was at a disadvantage and injured, he still had powerful combat power. This made Zhu Jian have to be careful. Otherwise, if he was not careful, he could be turned around by Wang Lin's unpredictable and abnormally powerful means. The opponent in front of the Revolving Turtle Great Sage was not ordinary either. As one of the 9 treasures of heavenly gates that had reached the Mahayana level in ancient times, the Tsangtian Dao Jian unleashed his 9 heavens godly sword Wei. His attacks were extremely sharp. Even a great demon like the Revolving Turtle Great Sage, who was in the realm of astral soul as one, could only take a defensive stance. The sword momentum of the Tsangtian Dao Jian changed continuously. First, he used the Southeast Yang Heaven sword that referenced the power of the Golden Crow clan's real fire of the sun. He drew on the heavenly fire of the Qianyang and turned it into a brilliant sun. It was as if the sun was in the middle of the sky. He attacked ferociously, forcing the Revolving Turtle Great Sage to reinforce the spatial barrier. After noticing the movements of the Revolving Turtle Great Sage, Jian Songtian immediately judged that a head-on attack was not beneficial in breaking through the defense of the revolving turtle great sage. Hence, he changed his sword momentum and turned it into a cunning green sword light. It was like a needle, searching for the flaws of the revolving turtle great sage. This was the Western celestial sword. The sword momentum was mysterious and focused on attacking the opponent's flaws. It also contained the artistic conception of the Jade Dragon Flame, which was used by the Jade Dragon clan to break through the magical power of others. The eyes of the revolving turtle great sage flickered. He had already revealed his true form. His huge body was like a floating island. His 4 limbs, head, and tail had all retracted into his shell. Even if the Songtian Dao Jian's sword light broke through the barrier of space and slashed onto his true form, it was blocked by the thick turtle shell. However, just as the Songtian Dao Jian was about to abandon him and find trouble with the others, the revolving turtle sage's huge body, which had shrunk into the turtle shell, flew up and smashed towards the Songtian Dao Jian with unerring accuracy. The momentum was extremely terrifying, as though the sky was falling and the earth was splitting. Jian Songtian sneered, "I was waiting for you." Amidst the cold laughter, the sword light on the ancient Songtian Dao Jian flowed. As it flashed, it suddenly became illusory and indistinct. It was hard to find a trace of it. After the Northwest Celestial Sword, which referenced the mystical abilities of the Dark Emperor's lineage, avoided the revolving turtle sage's attack, the Songtian Dao Jian's sword light changed again. As the sword intent swept out, it was heavy and heavy. The Northwest Celestial Sword turned into the Northern Celestial Sword. The heavy sword intent locked onto the revolving turtle sage and came crashing down. Under the pressure of the sword momentum, the revolving turtle sage's rapidly spinning body slowed down. However, just as it was about to hit the revolving turtle sage, the Northern Celestial Sword turned into the Western Celestial Sword. The cunning sword light headed straight for the hole in the revolving turtle sage's turtle shell. Among the several great sword principles, the Songtian Dao Jian was able to change at will. The sword that was born was no longer just a sword principle. Instead, it was as though the various great Dao techniques were unleashed at the same time. However, the great sage of the revolving turtle was not someone to be trifled with. His head, which was hidden in the turtle shell, let out a low growl. In an instant, the space in the turtle shell distorted and shattered, turning into a black hole that swallowed the sword light of the sword of the heavenly way. In the void far away from where the two of them were fighting, a black hole also appeared. A lush green sword light shot out from it. The Songtian Dao Jian's heart skipped a beat. This demon's control over the power of spatial transformation is truly extraordinary. The lush green sword light flashed in the void for a moment. However, it did not dissipate. Instead, it instantly arrived before the revolving turtle sage and continued to attack him. At the same time, the Songtian Dao Jian's attacks did not stop. They attacked the revolving turtle sage relentlessly like a tidal wave. However, the revolving turtle sage was very cunning. He once again assumed the appearance of a turtle hiding in its shell and focused on defense. Only when the Songtian Dao Jian was about to leave him behind to assist Wang Lin and the others would the revolving turtle sage launch an attack. However, as long as he hindered the Songtian Dao Jian, he would revert to his old ways. The Songtian Dao Jian was also very experienced in fights of magical powers. He tried to set up a trap and find a chance to injure the revolving turtle sage severely. However, the revolving turtle sage did not seek to gain merit but to avoid making mistakes. This caused the Songtian Dao Jian to feel like a tiger trying to bite a hedgehog. The revolving turtle sage's style was conservative. The Songtian Dao Jian had more or less grasped the initiative, allowing him to assist Wang Lin and the others. However, under the interference of the revolving turtle sage, the effect was minimal. It was like trying to put out a burning cart of firewood with a cup of water. The old turtle in front of him revealed his true form. His physical strength, magical powers, and demonic powers were extremely powerful. Even if he were to fight the Tsangtian Daojian head-on, he still had a chance of winning. However, in that case the Tsangtian Daojian, as a sword magic treasure, had a powerful attack. Not to mention who would win, the battle would be decided in a relatively short time. The revolving turtle sage did not have enough confidence of winning. Naturally, he was not willing to decide the outcome so quickly. The Sword of Heaven Dao was well aware of why the old tortoise was doing this. In other battles, the demon race had a huge advantage. Although the master of the underworld hall, Su Anda, did not have a magic treasure in hand, he was not afraid of the Fey Great Sage. He unleashed his magical powers and fought the Fey Great Sage, who had revealed his true form. However, in order to stop the operation of the 12 Sacred Heavens' wonderful flower array formation, under the instructions of Wang Lin and the mysterious sky god Sealing Flag, he had abandoned his own defense and attacked the Baifeng Great Sage and the demon array. As a result, he had suffered a heavy blow from the Fey Great Sage. Now that he was fighting the Fey Great Sage again, it was inevitable that he would be at a disadvantage. Fortunately, he had inherited the King of the Underworld's orthodoxy. His recovery ability and life-saving ability were unique. If most Dao integration experts had suffered that blow from the Fey Great Sage, their situation would have been much more serious. If they were to face the Fey Great Sage's subsequent storm-like attacks with their seriously injured bodies, they would have long been defeated. Even so, Su Anda was at a disadvantage when facing the Fey Great Sage, which made him feel even more depressed. On the other side, the battle between Wang Lin and the Great Sage Zhu Jian had reached its climax. Wang Lin had the Extreme Dao Rebirth technique, which could quickly recover his magic power and make up for the damage caused by the Supreme Destruction technique. However, this technique involved the power of the Dao of Annihilation, so it could only be used a limited number of times within a certain period of time. Although Wang Lin's current magic power was not as good as when he had just achieved the primordial spirit, the cycle of the netherworld extermination realm's two extremes of life and death was still not unlimited. If he did not use the Supreme Destruction technique, it was inevitable that Wang Lin would be at a disadvantage in a battle of strength with a great demon like the Great Sage Zhu Jian. In particular, the injury on his arm was caused by the Turbid Wave Demon Arrow. It could not be healed, which damaged the foundation of Wang Lin's primordial spirit and great Dao, further affecting his combat power. However, since he did not need to suppress the Nyekong Great Sage, nor did he need to be distracted by the 12 Sacred Heaven Ingenious Flower formation, Wang Lin could focus on the battle with the Great Sage Zhu Jian. The Netherworld Pearl above his head was surging with the Netherworld True Water. Even without the help of the Tsangtian Daojian, the Great Sage Zhu Jian did not dare to be careless. The Great Sage Zhu Jian also had rich combat experience. He was at the First Tribulation Realm, but when facing Wang Lin, who was at the Primordial Spirit Incarnation Realm, he actually chose to fight with the Great Sage Zhu Jian. Wang Lin had given him too many surprises. At this moment, he completely regarded Wang Lin as an equal opponent. In the battle, he only wanted to kill this threatening enemy. Other things like face and such were temporarily cast aside. However, this made Wang Lin's heart sink slightly. He was not in a good state, and so was the Great Sage Zhu Jian. Just now, after the great demon used his spine as a bow and turned his blood essence into an arrow, he inevitably fell into a weak state. However, after that, the Great Sage Zhu Jian kept recovering. He did not fight recklessly with Wang Lin, not because he could not win, but because he did not want to pay too much of a price. Therefore, he used this delaying strategy to further exhaust Wang Lin's strength while waiting for his strength to recover to its peak. Wang Lin could almost imagine the Great Sage Zhu Jian's next move. When his strength recovered to a certain extent, he would immediately seek an opportunity to attack Wang Lin at close range. Although the great sage Zhu Jian's defense was average, his pure physical strength was great, and it was considered superior among the demon clan. After achieving further results, the great sage Zhu Jian would once again use his white bone blood arrow to attack and completely end Wang Lin. If this attack still could not kill Wang Lin, then he would use the same method again. After not being able to crush Wang Lin in one go, the great sage Zhu Jian immediately changed his method. He still used his stronger strength to fight, but this time, he wanted to slowly exhaust Wang Lin to death. The great sage Zhu Jian's eyes were cold, and his expression was calm. His heart was cold and calm, without the slightest bit of impatience or shame. He was extremely patient and extremely cruel. As Wang Lin watched, his expression was also cold. If the Tsangtian Dao Jian, a Mahayana-grade treasure, was beside him to share the pressure and fight together, the great sage Zhu Jian's method would not work. However, at the moment, the Tsangtian Dao Jian was being held back by the revolving turtle great sage, so Wang Lin could only rely on himself. On the other side, Su Anda, who was facing the Fei great sage with his injuries, was also under great pressure. However, he was already the strongest person imprisoned by the Xiantian God-sealing banner. If it were someone else, they would not be a match for the Fei great sage even if they fought him empty-handed. Even if they wanted to take turns to fight him, the effect would not be obvious. Of course, Wang Lin had another option, which was to simply escape. Even if the Fei great sage chased after him, it would only be more difficult to kill him than it was now. The other person had the same idea. After the anger in the great sage's mind gradually dissipated, his will to live rose again. Moreover, if he died here, the situation of the golden-winged rock clan would be even worse. With this thought, the great sage Zhu Jian immediately escaped into the void. Whether it was the great sage Zhu Jian, the Baifeng great sage, or the other great demons, none of them stopped him. Although it would be better to kill or capture the great sage Zhu Jian here, to them, the most important goal at the moment was the ring on Wang Lin's hand. Chapter 1158. Under the effect of the miraculous time and space wheel array, everyone was pulled out of the ocean world by the light pillar and arrived at the endless void precinct outside the colossal world. Although the sky great sage was heavily injured, he was still able to survive in the void turbulence. He flew at an extremely fast speed, wanting to break through the giant light pillar. The Baifeng great sage, who was fighting with him, did not take the opportunity to pursue him. Instead, he opened the door of convenience and let him leave. The Zhu Jian great sage, the revolving turtle great sage, and the Fei great sage did not intend to stop him. Although this would leave some trouble in the future, the Zhu Jian great sage, the Baifeng great sage, and the other's target was undoubtedly Wang Lin. The sea sage had already lost the ring, and it was now in Wang Lin's hands. Naturally, the Zhu Jian great sage and the other great demon's first target was him. Without the sea sage's interference, the Baifeng great sage was free to further increase the strength of his side, and the pressure on Wang Lin and the others increased. With this, Wang Lin and the others' situation became more and more difficult. Without any communication, the Baifeng great sage took on the Tsangtian Dao Jian's attack for the revolving turtle great sage and fought with the Tsangtian Dao Jian. The revolving turtle great sage did not go to help the great sage Zhu Jian and the great sage Fei. Instead, he once again spread out his space rampart. Layer upon layer, he built a barrier inside the wondrous time and space wheel array, trapping everyone in the center. This was to cut off Wang Lin's escape route. The sea sage could escape, but Wang Lin could not. At least, he could not leave with the ring. It was not impossible for Wang Lin and the others to break through the space barrier. However, under the situation where the Zhu Jian great sage and the other great demons were attacking, it was as difficult as ascending to heaven if they had to divert their attention to open a path. As his supernatural power and demonic power continued to recover, Great Sage Yu Jian's attacks became more powerful. Turbid wave demonic arrows flew toward Wang Lin one after another. At the same time, he leaped and began to approach Wang Lin. After the battle just now, not only had Wang Lin's arm been torn apart by the turbid wave demonic arrow, but his ancient and modern world divine art and bridge of helplessness had also been damaged to the foundation of his Tao. He wouldn't be able to use them for a short period of time. This made it much more difficult for him to dodge the turbid wave demonic arrow. If not for the seemingly calm but actually domineering netherworld true water sweeping across the sky, he would have been injured by the turbid wave demon arrow again. Losing the bridge of helplessness also caused his speed to decrease greatly, and the great sage Yu Jian continued to close in on him. Looking at the great sage Yu Jian and the great sage revolving turtle in front of him, Wang Lin's expression was calm, and his eyes flickered faintly. Due to the obstruction of the wonderful time and space wheel array, Wang Lin and the others temporarily lost contact with Lin Feng. However, Lin Feng vaguely sensed something. This feeling seems to be a very powerful force that is shaking the void of the Ying Sea. Who is it? As Lin Feng thought to himself, he looked up. The great sage Zhu Jian and the great sage Heavenly Wolf don't have this ability. Could it be her? Lin Feng's main body was currently sitting on Yujing Mountain, in the sky above the Spirit Abyss mountain range of infinite wilderness. Below him was the ancestral land of the primordial demonic ape. Demonic aura soared into the sky, and groups of demons danced wildly, continuously attacking Yujing Mountain. At that moment, something else appeared in the air above Yujing Mountain. 12 huge light pillars formed a circle, as though they were isolating the world. They extended from the sky above and enveloped Yujing Mountain. The yin-yang life and death array that Ding of Shenzhou was presiding over had already shifted to the sky above Yujing Mountain, blocking the 12 light pillars and preventing them from landing on the mountain. Lin Feng looked at this scene expressionlessly. 12 sacred heavens life and death array? Furthermore, it was not a projection of power, but the true 12 sacred heavens life and death array. An extremely powerful aura emanated from it, and the light shadows of the 12 top demon races floated in the 12 light pillars. The sky above had already broken open, revealing the dark void. In this void, a figure was looking down at Lin Feng and Yujing Mountain. It was a figure that seemed to be hidden in a chaotic fog. It looked like a human, but its specific appearance could not be seen at all. It was the Enchantress. The person who was currently here was not the dermic power projection of the Enchantress, but her main body. She had descended here and activated the 12 sacred heavens life and death array to appear in front of Lin Feng. She clapped her palms gently, and a dark cloud suddenly appeared above her head. It looked only about an acre in size, but it gave off a feeling of infinite power. As the dark cloud swayed, streams of light surged from within. It was as though lightning was shuttling through the thunderclouds, but it was silent. However, it was even more terrifying than the thunderclouds and lightning. It was suffocating. The streams of light surged out from the dark cloud and landed on the surrounding 12 light pillars. These light pillars immediately became more dazzling. In the void in the middle of the light pillars, large numbers of light patterns appeared and gathered together. It was like a sparkling sea of clouds that filled the entire sky. Countless rays of light shuttled between the heaven and earth. Among the 12 pillars of light, 4 of them grew brighter and thicker. The demon light shadows in these 4 light pillars were the primordial sky dragon, the heavenly demon ape of the primordial demon ape race, the primordial black tortoise, and the Koan Purng. The golden primordial sky dragon was hidden in the auspicious clouds with a dragon's might. The dragon's head and tail could not be seen, but the majestic power of its flesh and blood emanated from it. It was as though it could shatter the heaven and earth with a swipe of its claws or tail. And a black giant ape the size of a mountain glared at the sky with a pair of blood-red eyes. It let out a deafening roar as the power of its body shattered everything in the void. Silently, a giant tortoise lay there. It was as heavy as an abyss in the earth. Its size was so huge that be it the revolving tortoise, Tibetan tortoise, or mysterious underworld tortoise, none of them could compare to it. Although it was just a light shadow in the light pillars, if one did not shrink the void and leave the light pillars to reveal its true body, it would no longer be an island or a mountain. It would be like a floating continent. This was the long-extinct pure-blooded black tortoise. However, because its blood essence had been absorbed by the demon array, it had reappeared in the 12 sacred skies flower net array. And in the 4th light pillar was a Kuan Pung. It seemed to be constantly bobbing up and down in the primordial universe. Sinking was a fish. It was completely black and incomparably huge. Its body was thousands of kilometers long. Floating was a bird. Its feathers were green and it had a golden beak. There were white feathers on the top of its head. When it spread its wings, it was thousands of kilometers wide. At this moment, the light shadow of the Kuan Pung shook its body. It stopped bobbing up and down. Instead, it fixed itself in the form of a Kuan. Its heavy body chi and blood immediately spread out. It was not inferior to the great demons of the other 3 clans. Apart from the carrying sky ant and the primordial divine elephant, the demon clan with the strongest physical strength had all gathered here. The low and hoarse voice of the enchantress sounded between heaven and earth. The syllables were strange and did not sound like a human language. Sky-shaking, earth-shaking flower net array. The other 8 light pillars had already gradually disappeared. Only the 4 light pillars illuminated the heaven and earth. Then, the 4 light pillars gradually gathered together and turned into an extremely huge light pillar. Pressed down on the yin and yang life and death formation and Jing mountain. On the divine abyss mountain range, the great sage and Zhu Yen were expressionless. They stared at the sky-reaching demonic ape and the divine monkey in the light pillar. There was no anger on their faces, but neither did they feel happy that the enchantress had come to their aid. However, while the enchantress was activating the demon formation, the great sage and Zhu Yen did not hold back. They still activated the power of the divine abyss mountain range and firmly entangled Lin Feng, buying time for the enchantress to set up the formation. When the sky-shaking, earth-shaking flower net array was completely activated, the majestic power that seemed to be able to forcibly crush the boundless world made the yin and yang life and death formation, which was under the command of Ding of Shenzhou, unstable. In the air, an extremely thick pillar of light pressed down tightly on a world of light formed by a huge matrix. The power of the domain continued to shatter and press down, and this world of light was pressed down by the pillar of light until it slowly descended from the sky, continuously falling towards Yujing Mountain below. It's not easy for you to find the real blood of black tortoise left behind from the primordial age. On Jing Mountain, Lin Feng's expression did not change. He pinched the incantation gestures with both hands and pointed his fingers lightly. The changes of heaven and earth in the yin and yang life and death formation operated in reverse, turning the heavy power that Ding of Shenzhou used to suppress the earth upward. It turned into an indestructible and indestructible sky that forcibly withstood the falling light pillar. At the intersection of the 2 sides, heaven and earth seemed to be turned upside down. The sky was below and the earth was above. The power of boundaries was distorted to the extreme. In the demon formation, the dark clouds above the enchantress's head gradually dispersed and fell toward Jing Mountain below. The yin and yang life and death formation was suppressed by the sky-shaking, earth-shaking flower net array and could not stop it. The enchantress could only watch as the dispersed dark clouds drifted toward Jing Mountain. Lin Feng's eyes turned slightly cold. "My fellow Taoist Tianmei, do you want to fight me today?" He held the index and middle fingers of his right hand together like a sword and triggered the heaven punishment sword formation to cut away the dark cloud. The enchantress said in a low voice, "The master of the celestial gate is extremely powerful. Now is not the time for me to fight you to the death. However, I have to fight you for the ring on the Thunder Abyss Golden Rock's hand." As he spoke, the enchantress did not continue to exert force. However, the upward impact of the Spirit Abyss Mountain below Jade Jing Mountain had begun to destabilize Jade Jing Mountain. The Great Sage and Great Saint Zhu Yan were wary of Lin Feng's Heaven Punishment Sword. Although they did not use their full strength, they cooperated with the enchantress, causing Lin Feng to fall into a pincer attack. On Infinite Wasteland there was a strange scene. On the ground was the huge Spirit Abyss Mountain, while in the sky was a thick beam of light that pierced through the void. The two of them sandwiched Jade Jing Mountain in the middle, pressing it from top to bottom. Sitting on the mountain, Lin Feng's expression gradually became solemn, but his eyes were still calm. He suddenly asked the enchantress a question that seemed to have nothing to do with the current situation. "As far as I know, the killing prison wolf is still in Infinite Wasteland and has not gone to Yingxi." The enchantress did not answer, but his eyes were shining. Silently, Lin Feng said, "The Golden Rock was killed by you, the peacock's whereabouts are unknown, and Xiongqi has long been killed by me. The Black Void Golden Rock will not surrender to you easily. Even if you have the forces of the Golden Rock Great Saint, there should only be the Zhu Jian, the Revolving Tortoise, the Fei, and the Baifeng in Yingxi right now, right?" He glanced at the enchantress and said, "If there are no other unknown experts under your command, then you will not be able to get that ring." The enchantress's eyes narrowed slightly. Lin Feng said indifferently, "Because it is in the hands of my disciple, Wang Lin." Chapter 1159. In the vast land of Infinite Wasteland, Yujing Mountain was under pressure from the Divine Abyss Mountains and the 12 Sacred Heavens array. It was already in a precarious situation. The Enchantress, the Great Sage, and Zhu Yan Great Sage were 3 great demons in the Dharma-ending realm. The other party had the help of the ancestral land of the apes, the Divine Abyss Mountains, and the 12 Sacred Heavens array. Even Lin Feng felt some pressure. The white jade-like auspicious clouds around Yujing Mountain spread out, blocking the demonic atmosphere of the Divine Abyss Mountains that kept rushing up. Ding of Shenzhou was suppressing the Yin and Yang life and death array, supporting the falling giant light pillar with the power of heaven and earth. But Lin Feng's gaze was still calm, leisurely looking towards the distant end of the void. Thanks to that karma debate, other than improving and perfecting the path of karma of Buddhism, it also allowed Lin's understanding and cultivation of the great Tao of heaven and earth to become even more profound. In terms of the comprehension of the true Yin and Yang origin scripture, currently amongst my disciples, he probably has the deepest understanding. Little Linny has confirmed his way of Yin and Yang, and has successfully taken the first step on this foundation. It's really worthy of celebration. Perhaps he wasn't clear before, but under the heavy pressure brought by the enemy, it will help him to build a solid foundation. The enchantress naturally did not know what Lin Feng was thinking. However, Lin Feng's words just now made her feel slightly awestruck. Her intuition told her that the situation might develop beyond her expectations. Almost subconsciously, the enchantress sent a voice transmission to the Heavenly Wolf Great Sage, ordering him to find a way to rush over to the Great Sage Zhu Jian and the other great demons as soon as possible. At this moment, outside the Yingxi, outside the Kiliacosm, in the void beyond the heavens, the revolving turtle Great Sage was opening a space boundary, sealing the void. In this space boundary, Wang Lin faced the Great Sage Zhu Jian. He took a deep breath, and his entire body suddenly shed his human form, turning into a huge Taiji diagram of the netherworld. On this Taiji diagram there seemed to be a huge netherworld. Layers of light and shadow flickered. At the end of the black and yellow road, a dim river flowed silently. Above the river stood an ancient black stone bridge. At one end of the black stone bridge, there was a city-like hall. The door of the hall was open, and 2 wheels, one black and one white, kept spinning. In the depths of the hall stood a flat, mirror-like stone. It was Wang Lin's incarnation of his Yuan spirit. However, a crack had appeared on one corner of the Netherworld Taiji diagram of the Taiji diagram of the Netherworld, and the ancient black stone bridge in the Netherworld had also cracked. These were the marks left by the turbid wave demon arrow. The Taiji diagram of the diagram of the Taiji diagram of the Taiji diagram of. Seeing this, great sage Zhu Jian's eyes were still calm and cold, but they became even more serious. Dazzling starlight began to appear on his body, as if stars were condensing in his huge body, causing his power and aura to become even stronger. The turbid wave demon arrow appeared on his right claw again. He knocked the bow and pulled the bowstring. A muffled sound shook the surroundings. At the tip of the arrow of light, a dot of Zhou's starlight became more and more dazzling. The tip of the arrow seemed to carry the power of the stars. When the arrow was released, a star fell to the ground. The great sage Zhu Jian's supernatural power was special. He had reached the realm of star-soul fusion. He had sacrificed the stars and the demon's soul to fuse. However, he would not use it under normal circumstances. This was because if he used the power of the stars he had sacrificed, a turbid wave demon arrow would be shot out like a star. To the great sage Zhu Jian, this would be a permanent loss. He would need to sacrifice the stars again. Therefore, the great sage Zhu Jian would not use this method easily. If it were not for the turbid wave demon arrow, he would be at a disadvantage against other great demons of the same realm. However, such a huge price would be exchanged for a powerful attack that most cultivators of the same realm could not resist. If he was not confident, the great sage Zhu Jian would not waste the stars he had sacrificed so much to train. Once the arrow was released, it would draw blood and take the opponent's life. For the sake of your master, hand over the ring, and I will let this matter rest. Otherwise, I cannot guarantee that I will spare your life, the great sage Zhu Jian said coldly. If you continue to resist, I can only shoot you to death here today. Wang Lin did not answer. Slowly, the Netherworld Tai Chi diagram spun. The aura of his supernatural power became more profound and ethereal. Seeing this, the great sage Zhu Jian nodded. Tell your master to prepare to collect your corpse. Then, the great sage Zhu Jian's aura changed. The starlight surrounding him burned in large amounts and turned into rolling streams of light that gathered in the great sage Zhu Jian's single eye. His eye was emotionless. It was as if he was staring at a dead person. He looked at the Netherworld Tai Chi diagram formed by Wang Lin's primordial spirit. Somehow, there seemed to be a strange feeling that locked onto Wang Lin. It surpassed the barriers of space and time. It broke through all kinds of illusory concealment and went straight to the root. It was hard to block and hard to avoid. This strange feeling triggered the light arrow that the great sage Zhu Jian placed on the big bow to connect with Wang Lin. It was as if as long as the arrow was released, it was destined to hit Wang Lin's primordial spirit. This was indeed another of the great sage Zhu Jian's strange supernatural powers. It required him to burn his own supernatural power and sacrifice the power of the stars in exchange for the ability to lock onto the target. The price was great, but the reward was even greater. The great sage Zhu Jian stared at Wang Lin. Suddenly, his single eye closed. At this moment, the turbid wave demon arrow left the bow and was released. After the arrow was released, the light arrow disappeared. When it reappeared, it was already in front of the Netherworld Tai Chi diagram formed by Wang Lin's primordial spirit. The bright stars first became incomparably dazzling. It was as if they had burned all their light and heat in an instant. Together with the light arrow, a powerful force erupted and swept across the netherworld above the Taiji diagram formed by Wang Lin's primordial spirit. The Yellow Springs path continued to shatter and crack. The surging river of forgetfulness seemed to be on the verge of stopping. The already cracked bridge of helplessness was completely broken into 4 pieces. The majestic Emperor Yan's hall was also constantly shaking. The bricks and tiles on the main hall continued to shatter. A crack also appeared on the stone of 3 lives in the middle of the hall. After the initial explosion of light, the center of the light gave birth to extreme darkness. Everything in the center of the darkness kept collapsing, creating a huge suction force that turned into a black hole that swept up everything in its surroundings and sucked it into the black hole. Wang Lin's primordial spirit was sucked into the black hole. The shattered netherworld turned into ruins and was devoured by the black hole. Even the Taiji diagram formed by Wang Lin's primordial spirit was distorted and gradually sucked into the black hole. At this moment, the great sage Zhu Jian's closed eyes suddenly opened. A dim light flashed, and the black hole suddenly exploded. The black hole shattered, and the surrounding void was forcefully annihilated. The entire void was filled with fragmented and flowing chaos. When the Sangtian Dao Jian and Su Anda saw this, they were shocked. Sangtian Dao Jian's eyes were filled with worry, while Su Anda's eyes were shining. No one knew what he was thinking. In the distance, as the Xiantian God's sealing banner fluttered, a youth in black with a cold expression appeared under the banner. He stared at the shattered space in the distance that had turned into nothingness. He watched as the chaos was reborn and the void was filled. However, everything that had existed before had turned into nothingness. The great sage revolving turtle's old voice sounded, "Mo Ling, that ring. Don't worry, the first attack was on his primordial spirit. Once his primordial spirit blocked the attack, the ring should be fine. It's just that after the void shattered, the spatial turbulence sent the ring and some of his belongings to an unknown place. However, it won't go beyond the range of the wonderful time wheel formation," the great sage Zhu Jian said as he scanned the void with his single eye. However, he suddenly felt a sense of danger. He turned around and saw the underworld pearl floating silently. A large amount of underworld real water gushed out from it. The dark river water gradually condensed into a human figure with facial features. It was Wang Lin. The great sage Zhu Jian's eyes narrowed. He actually cultivated such a superior death substitution rebirth technique? There were many kinds of death substitution rebirth technique. Some were strong, some were weak, and they were not omnipotent. However, the great sage Zhu Jian's arrow just now failed to break Wang Lin's extreme path of nirvana. As the light flowed, Wang Lin returned to his human form. His face was pale and his breath was slightly weak. However, his eyes were brighter than ever since the battle began. He stared straight at the great sage Zhu Jian. "You've already died once. You should cherish your life. As I said before, hand over the ring and I'll spare your lives. I'll let you go." The great sage Zhu Jian was stunned at first. Then, the seriousness in his single eye became more and more intense. His cold, murderous intent also became stronger. He reacted quickly. Seeing that Wang Lin escaped death with a secret technique, he drew his bow again and aimed the arrow at Wang Lin again. "Otherwise, you'll die here today. Your technique can save you now, but it can't save you forever." Death substitution rebirth techniques were never infinite, and they were never omnipotent. The great sage Zhu Jian wanted to add another arrow to kill Wang Lin once and for all. Wang Lin's expression was indifferent. He said coldly, "Do you think I took that arrow for nothing?" With a turn of his body, the Yuan Shun incarnation of the Tai Chi diagram appeared again. However, this time, it was much more dilapidated. The nether world was only a barren wasteland. "Since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish," the great sage Zhu Jian said as he released the terrifying arrow refined by the stars again, shooting it at Wang Lin. On the giant nether Tai Chi diagram, a strange light suddenly shone. One was black, and the other was white. Two thick beams of light crisscrossed and intersected vertically on the Tai Chi diagram formed by Wang Lin's Yuan Shun. It was like a crossroad where two roads intersected. When the great sage Zhu Jian's arrow reappeared, it had already shot at the cross-shaped light. It was about to destroy it and shatter Wang Lin's Yuan Shun for the second time. At this time, Wang Lin's calm voice came from the nether Tai Chi diagram. Missed. As soon as he said that, the turbid wave demon arrow shot by the great sage Yu Jian landed on the vertical black light. In a flash, the arrow seemed to have lost control. It did not follow the path formed by the black light. Instead, it strangely made a turn at the intersection of the cross-shaped light and merged with the horizontal white light. In the next moment, the turbid wave demon arrow separated from the white light. It failed to hit the nether Tai Chi diagram and flew far away. It bloomed brilliantly in the distant void and exploded. Chapter 1160. When they saw Wang Lin reconstruct his body with the help of the netherworld true water and escape death, the others didn't know what was going on, but Su Anda's pupils suddenly shrank. Netherworld Nirvana? It's the strongest power of the Netherworld Nirvana incantation, but it should only be possible after the nirvana of the yellow spring Tao fruit is synthesized. The founder of the Netherworld demon sect, the Netherworld Taoist, was the second disciple of the king of the underworld and also Su Anda's senior brother. Although the two of them had almost no contact, Su Anda undoubtedly knew some information about the Netherworld Nirvana incantation. The strongest power of the Netherworld Nirvana incantation was not reflected in attack or defense, but an extremely superior method of rebirth. When the Netherworld demon sect was still around, it was also famous. Su Anda was not surprised that Wang Lin had the yellow spring pearl and cultivated the Netherworld Nirvana incantation. But he was shocked that he could use the Netherworld Nirvana incantation when he was still in the primordial spirit incarnation realm. Wait, it's not the orthodox Netherworld Nirvana incantation, but a new power that he comprehended by combining the Netherworld Nirvana incantation with the Xianmen Tianzong technique? Su Anda reacted quickly, and his eyes flashed with an inexplicable radiance. It actually has such a miraculous effect, just like the transformation of the Avicii immortal body into the Netherworld immortal body. This was the Netherworld Nirvana incantation that Wang Lin cultivated from the heavens Tao Te Ching, turning the Netherworld Nirvana incantation into the Extreme Path Nirvana incantation. It was a unique method of rebirth that belonged to him. The white light formed by the chi of rebirth was the bone, and the black air formed by the annihilation death intent was the meridian. Life and death were mutually reborn, and with the yellow spring pure water as the body, he used the ritual that was prepared in advance and was always ready to be used. At the critical moment, he was reborn in place of death and pulled himself back from the edge of death. But using the extreme path nirvana incantation to be reborn in place of death was just the beginning. What Wang Lin did next shocked everyone present. The cross formed by the crisscrossing black and white light seemed to contain a mysterious and unfathomable power. As soon as Wang Lin said that, great sage Yu Jian's turbid wave demon arrow, which had been refined with stars, strangely fell into the black light. Then, at the intersection of the black light and the white light, it strangely changed direction and entered the white light. In the next moment, it flew far away from its original target. Wang Lin's miss was like a law that made great sage Yu Jian's demon arrows obey his orders obediently. Naturally, no one would think that this turbid wave demonic arrow would not hit Wang Lin. Wang Lin had predicted this result. The reason why the arrow did not hit its target was because of Wang Lin's supernatural power. Looking at the pattern formed by the intersection of two beams of light, one black and one white, that floated above the Taiji diagram like a crossroad, even the experienced and knowledgeable Tsangtian Dao Jian, Su Anda, Whirling Turtle Sage, and the others were stunned. What happened just now? Su Anda's eyes flickered. Although he was reborn using the death substitution technique, his vitality was greatly injured. His current state should be far from what it was before. How did he dodge the second arrow so easily? No, he didn't dodge it. It looks like he manipulated the demon arrow. Su Anda was extremely surprised. Even he could not withstand the great sage Zhu Jian's arrow just now. Wang Lin's actions were beyond his imagination. Whirling turtle sage's head popped out of his turtle shell. His turbid old eyes shot out a terrifying light as he stared at Wang Lin. It's not that Mo Ling missed, it's that this kid's supernatural power is too strange. The person who was even more surprised was undoubtedly great sage Zhu Jian himself, who had fired the turbid wave demon arrow. For the second arrow just now, he still locked onto Wang Lin's position with his demon eye secret technique. This second arrow should not have missed. It was not that no one could dodge his demon arrow, but with the strength that Wang Lin had displayed before and his vitality was greatly injured after being reborn using the death substitution technique, great sage Zhu Jian was confident that the arrow would hit its target. However, the reality that was placed in front of him stunned him. The problem lies in the crisscrossing black and white cross. Great sage Zhu Jian's eyes were extremely solemn. He instantly expelled all emotions and thoughts that were not beneficial to the battle from his mind. The supernatural power that Wang Lin had suddenly performed was completely unfamiliar to great sage Zhu Jian. At this moment, he felt that the development of the situation had gone beyond his control. He had the intention to retreat temporarily and observe patiently. He would make a decision after figuring out Wang Lin's strength. This seemed cowardly and shameful, but from the perspective of a life and death battle, it was a wise move. In particular, although Wang Lin had used a strange supernatural power to dissolve the turbid wave demon arrow, his vitality was undoubtedly greatly injured, and his primordial spirit avatar was severely damaged. If the battle dragged on, it would be more advantageous for great sage Zhu Jian. Since the battle just now, great sage Zhu Jian had cast aside all his dignity and only hoped that the result would be to kill Wang Lin. At this time, he had no qualms about using the stalling tactic again. However, Wang Lin would not give him this opportunity. The crisscrossing black and white lights on the netherworld Tai Chi diagram suddenly pierced through the void and landed on great sage Zhu Jian. The crisscrossing black and white lights seemed light and weightless, but it was difficult for great sage Zhu Jian to dodge. Although the two lights were clearly visible, they did not seem to exist in this world. They were mysterious. The speed was not fast, but it seemed to ignore the existence of space. It was also difficult to describe its speed with time. A cold light flashed in great sage Zhu Jian's eye. Seeing that it was difficult to dodge, he snorted coldly and his spine twitched. His spine turned into a bow and landed on the injured spot again. His chi and blood essence condensed into a dark red arrow with a monstrous murderous aura. The target was the netherworld Tai Chi diagram that Wang Lin had transformed. He wanted to fight attack with attack and kill Wang Lin first. On the blood-red arrow, a star lit up and it was dazzling. With his spine as the bow, his blood essence as the arrow, and his demonic power condensed, this was the strongest attack of great sage Zhu Jian's turbid wave demon arrow supernatural power. At this moment, the arrow was imbued with the power of the star, which increased its destructive power to the peak. This was great sage Zhu Jian's most powerful attack in his current realm. Although he was cold, cunning, and used to guerrilla warfare, he never lacked courage and murderous intent when it came to the time to fight. However, just as he was about to draw the arrow again, Wang Lin's calm, indifferent, and emotionless voice rang from the netherworld Tai Chi diagram again. "You die." As soon as the voice rang out, great sage Zhu Jian was shocked to discover that he had silently entered the white stream of light. His body moved along the stream of light. When he reached the point where the white light and black light intersected, he did not continue to move along the white light. Instead, he turned at the intersection point and his body merged into the black light in another direction. In the black light, great sage Zhu Jian was dumbfounded. He saw his flesh and blood rotting, and his demonic power was disintegrating. His immortal demonic soul was also collapsing. His life seemed to be approaching its end uncontrollably, and he was heading toward death. The concept of death was a little unfamiliar to great sage Zhu Jian, but now the dark cloud of death was hanging over his head, and it seemed like all of this was because of a sentence from Wang Lin. Great sage Zhu Jian wanted to struggle, but he found that his consciousness was gradually blurring. This great demon's ferocious nature was also aroused. As he roared, he raised his power to the peak and shot his strongest arrow at Wang Lin. "You're the one who will die." Great sage Zhu Jian's single eye was cold. The wonderful wheel of time and space array that enveloped everyone suddenly changed. The 12 huge light pillars appeared again. The light pillars that were originally the brightest, the primordial sky dragon, the golden rock, the divine monkey, and Hun Dun, dimmed a little. The other 4 light pillars became brighter. Among them, there was the phoenix, the black tortoise, and the qilin. They were all demons with strong defenses, strong vitality, and even the ability to regenerate. The last one was a great demon that had been extinct in the present epoch. Its name was Zhuzheng. It had the body of a bear and the face of a human. Its physical strength was strong, and its vitality was exuberant. It was covered in golden fur, and its defense was extremely shocking. It was almost comparable to a pure-blooded black tortoise. The light pillar that the 4 great demons were in became brighter, and the other 8 light pillars disappeared. The 4 light pillars gradually merged into one, becoming a thick light pillar that enveloped great sage Zhu Jian. It was the wonderful wheel of time and space array of the 12 sacred days array. It had transformed into the wonderful wheel of time and space array of the heaven protection nirvana array. Being enveloped by the wonderful wheel of time and space array of the heaven protection nirvana array, great sage Zhu Jian finally struggled back from the brink of death. At the same time, he launched his own attack. The black and white cross light landed on great sage Zhu Jian, but it was unable to block his strongest arrow. In the sky above the Taiji diagram formed by Wang Lin's primordial spirit, the true and false realm's divine power was cast. The door opened, turning real into false, and dissolved great sage Zhu Jian's arrow. However, great sage Zhu Jian's arrow, which was condensed with all his heart's blood, instantly exploded, and once again interfered with Wang Lin's true and false realm divine power. Although it also weakened the turbid wave demon arrow's power, it still broke through the true and false realm and hit Wang Lin's primordial spirit incarnation, shattering his primordial spirit again. On the other side, although the wonderful wheel of nirvana array of the heaven protection nirvana array saved great sage Zhu Jian's life, the 2 consecutive transformations had completely exhausted the array projection's power. His divine power Dharma spell is still incomplete. Otherwise, the wonderful wheel of nirvana array of the heaven protection nirvana array might not be able to protect me. Great sage Zhu Jian recalled Wang Lin's strange Dharma spell just now, and he felt a lingering fear. However, I finally killed this kid. However, before he could completely heave a sigh of relief, a white light shone in the void in the distance. Under great sage Zhu Jian's dumbfounded gaze, Wang Lin's body appeared in the white light again. Next to him, Songtian Dao Jian exclaimed, "Life substitution heavenly pill." The profound concept contained in the white light was the wonderful characteristic of the life substitution heavenly pill. This was one of the 4 top-notch spirit pills that were once passed down in Taishu Temple. It was first created by the almighty alchemist in the ancient Heavenly Gate. Songtian Dao Jian had not seen it for many years, but he immediately recognized it when he saw the white light. After a cultivator consumed this pill, it could be used as a substitute for death once. Apart from very few special circumstances, it could save the person who consumed it, allowing the person to revive somewhere else and escape from certain death. The only problem was that it could only be used once in a person's lifetime. Even so, the effect was extremely powerful. Looking at this scene, even great sage Zhu Jian, who had always been cold and resolute, felt a sense of despair in his heart. Is this kid unkillable? However, before he could continue thinking about it, Wang Lin stepped out of the white light. In a flash, he had returned to Great Sage Zhu Jian, and he manifested the netherworld Tai Chi diagram again. Wang Lin's cold voice echoed in the void. Die. The crisscrossing black and white cross appeared again, and Great Sage Zhu Jian fell into the white light again. In an instant, he turned into the black light at the intersection point as if he was walking toward death. Great Sage Zhu Jian gathered his demonic power. It was useless. He roused his indestructible demonic soul. Destruction. He burned his own body to refine the power of the stars. It disappeared without a trace, and it was useless. He manifested his true form, and the power of his flesh and blood surged wildly. Everything was rotting, and there was no way to stop it. This time, without the protection of the 12 sacred heavens Hua Luo formation, only death awaited Great Sage Zhu Jian. It was irreversible, and it could not be changed. It was like fate. Chapter 1161. Inside the black light, Great Sage Zhu Jian's body collapsed and disintegrated with an irreversible, unstoppable, and unchangeable momentum. His body and soul were both destroyed. There was no earth-shattering change, nor was there a vast and terrifying fluctuation of Dharma power. It was silent, but it gave people a strange feeling that it was only natural. Everything seemed to be as it should be. It was as if that was the Great Sage Zhu Jian's destiny. There were no accidents, and there were no ripples. However, when this scene entered the eyes of everyone present, it caused them to feel that it was inconceivable and peerlessly absurd. Mo Ling Zhu Jian, the current clan leader of the Zhu Jian clan, was one of the top great demons under the enchantress. He was extremely powerful and had already begun to experience the first tribulation. Moreover, he had experienced tribulation more than once. The turbid wave demon arrow was so famous that most powerhouses' expressions changed. They were unwilling to fight him. Many powerhouses of the same realm, even if their Dharma power and divine abilities were not inferior to Great Sage Zhu Jian, were unwilling to fight him easily. This was because the turbid wave demon arrow was too insidious and had extremely powerful offensive power. Especially after Great Sage Zhu Jian locked onto his target with his one-eyed mystic technique, it was even more difficult for his opponent to evade. His star demon arrow's destructive power was so powerful that even some opponents with stronger Dharma power and divine abilities could not block it. When everyone present saw the last arrow that attacked Wang Lin, their hearts sank. The Underworld Hall Master Su Anda's Dharma power and divine abilities were few among the human Tao integration stage cultivators. He could even fight against a great demon at the Star Soul integration stage who had revealed his true form. When facing other great demons at the first tribulation or going tribulation stage, due to the special nature of the King of the Underworld's orthodoxy, he could protect himself and even fight against them. However, if he fought against Great Sage Zhu Jian without a suitable Dharma treasure, the outcome of the battle was not optimistic for him. Sangtian Dao Jian was one of the 9 treasures of the Heavenly Gate. He had already reached the Mahayana stage in ancient times and had not encountered any tribulation over the years. His strength was not inferior to the human race's top Tao integration stage powerhouses. However, he knew that he was no match for Great Sage Zhu Jian if he fought him alone. He was a sword. His attacks were sharp and powerful. The Great Sage Zhu Jian's forte was not defense. If he were to fight to the death with both of them, he might be able to injure the Great Sage Zhu Jian, but he himself would be doomed. Even the whirling turtle Great Sage, who served under the enchantress together with the Great Sage Zhu Jian, was adept at manipulating the changes in space and had a strong defense, but he knew that he would not be able to withstand the last arrow from the Great Sage Zhu Jian. Perhaps his ancestor, the pure-blooded black tortoise, could resist it with his defense, but he definitely couldn't. The Fey Great Sage and the Baifeng Great Sage, who had just joined the Enchantress, were also impressed by the turbid wave demon arrow of the Great Sage Zhu Jian. They would never forget that when the Great Sage Zhu Jian was still in the realm of Astral Soul as one, he had once shot and killed a great demon who was also in the realm of Astral Soul as one. As the Great Sage Zhu Jian, who had the highest cultivation level and had experienced more tribulations than Ning Wanga, there was no doubt that he was the strongest. However, such a ferocious great demon seemed to have no strength to struggle at this moment. He was devoured by the mysterious black light, and both his spirit and body were destroyed. This bizarre scene made everyone present, including opponents like the Whirling Turtle Great Sage, the Fey Great Sage, and the Baifeng Great Sage, as well as people on the same side like Su Anda and Jian Songtian, feel that it was ridiculous and unbelievable. At the same time, they could not help but feel a chill in their hearts. The scene in front of them made their minds confused. If Wang Lin's realm had suddenly increased, his supernatural power had suddenly increased, or he had suddenly taken out a creation treasure and killed the Great Sage Zhu Jian, they could still accept it. However, the scene in front of them clearly showed that Wang Lin had been reborn twice in a row. His supernatural power did not increase, but instead decreased. However, it was as if his words were the law, and he had decided the fate of Great Sage Zhu Jian's life and death, sending him to his doom. This was completely beyond everyone's imagination. The Netherworld Tai Chi diagram formed by Wang Lin's primordial spirit was now full of cracks, as if it was being torn apart. The Netherworld on the Tai Chi diagram could not even be considered a wasteland. It was empty and desolate, filled with an aura of decline and decay. The Tai Chi diagram rotated slowly and once again turned into a human form, revealing the appearance of Wang Lin. The injury on his arm was still there. Not only that, but there were also 2 unhealed wounds on his chest and abdomen. The essence of the Great Path was like drops of blood that fell to the void below him. Wang Lin's face was as pale as a piece of paper, without a trace of blood. However, his eyes were unprecedentedly bright. He looked at the crisscrossing black and white light in front of him, and watched as Great Sage Zhu Jian completely disappeared in the black light. The mysterious power concept made the Whirling Turtle Great Sage and the other great demons unable to save him in time. Indeed, this new Dharma spell is not perfect. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he sighed. His sigh sounded like thunder in the ears of the Whirling Turtle Great Sage and the others. Although the white-haired young man in front of them looked extremely weak, his figure seemed even more terrifying. The great demons could not help but have the same thought. He should still be a primordial spirit embodiment realm cultivator, but what was that Dharma spell he used just now? Among Lin Feng's personal disciples, the one that the demon clan paid the most attention to was the second disciple, Zhu Yi, because he had the creation Dharma treasure, the Permitha Golden Bridge. This was unavoidable. And the person that the demon clan was most familiar with was the 7th disciple, Shi Tianhao. Among Lin Feng's personal disciples, he was the one who entered Infinite Wilderness the most. He had killed many people in the demon clan, and his reputation was completely built on killing. Sometimes, his reputation was also built on eating, relatively speaking. Although Wang Lin was also in the eyes of the demon clan, they did not know much about him. However, after today's battle, Wang Lin's reputation as the killing god would also be widely spread in Infinite Wilderness. As a primordial spirit embodiment realm cultivator, he had killed Zhu Jian, who had already begun to experience the tribulation. It was already destined that his reputation would be known throughout the great heaven primordial world. In fact, from today onwards, Wang Lin would gradually begin to leave the protection of his master, the master of the celestial sect, Lin Feng. Because of his own powerful strength, his name would be known throughout Infinite Wilderness and the Divine Land, becoming an expert that no one could ignore. Xiao Yan, Zhu Yi, Wang Lin, and Shi Tianhao were known as the four heroes of the celestial sect. Ever since they all reached the Essence Soul realm in the extermination battle, they had truly stepped onto the biggest stage and danced with the big shot. After today's battle, Wang Lin would take a big step forward from the edge of the stage to the center. The war between the two worlds was filled with infinite danger, infinite opportunities, and infinite variables. The fall of an expert often meant the rise of another expert. Among Lin Feng's personal disciples, Wang Lin was the first to take this step today. What made the great sage of the revolving turtle sect and the others feel heavy and worried was that Wang Lin was not the only disciple under Lin Feng. The people who participated in the war between the two worlds and fought for the highest victory were all top experts. The clashes between them caused every participant to gradually reveal their true strength, which they usually hid and bided their time. But now, the celestial sect of Xianmen, a behemoth that made the vast land of the divine land and the vast land of infinite wasteland, had also begun to gradually reveal its enormous power that made most people suffocate. Just thinking about it made it difficult for people to have the heart to resist. After the projection of the 12 sacred skies' wonderful flower array disappeared, the confusion and pain in Ning Wanga's eyes gradually dissipated. She happened to see the scene of Wang Lin activating a new Dharma spell for the third time and cursing Great Sage Zhu Jian. She had roughly witnessed Great Sage Zhu Jian's strength before and was shocked at this moment. But soon, Ning Wanga calmed down again. Without the disturbance of the enchantress's Dharma power aura, her eyes gradually regained their calmness. The colorful light around her was still flashing, but it was no longer chaotic and out of control. Instead, it revealed an even more mysterious aura. Ning Wanga looked at Wang Lin and said softly, "I'm sorry." Although she had fallen into a state of qi deviation and lost control, after regaining her consciousness, Ning Wanga naturally knew how her sudden change would affect the situation of the battle. Although Wang Lin had killed Great Sage Zhu Jian, he had also paid a huge price, and she was part of the reason. Ning Wanga turned her head and her eyes fell on Great Sage Bai Feng, which made the great demon feel uncomfortable. She stared at Great Sage Bai Feng without saying a word, but her figure flashed and she was already flying towards him. Why did the enchantress's Dharma power aura make her lose control? This was something that Ning Wanga was very concerned about. Great Sage Bai Feng, Whirling Turtle Sage, and Fei Sage took a deep breath together, their gazes extremely complicated. Although the Wang Lin before them looked extremely weak, and the powerful spell that killed Great Sage Zhu Jian was undoubtedly a huge burden to him, Whirling Turtle Sage and the other great demons still did not dare to underestimate him. No one could guarantee that he could perform that terrifying and strange spell again. Similarly, the extreme nirvana of the Great Path and the life-substituting heavenly elixir had already been used up, and no one could guarantee that Wang Lin would not have other ways to substitute for death. Today's battle had surprised them, and there were too many things that confused them. Faced with this kind of completely unknown threat, Whirling Turtle Sage and the other great demons were not interested in continuing to challenge him before they understood his background. Great Sage Zhu Jian had already set an example for them. Moreover, even without Wang Lin, if Ning Wanga recovered from the state of qi deviation and joined forces with Sangtian Dao Jian and Su Anda, the outcome of the battle would no longer be within their control. Even if Wang Lin joined the battle, which would put a greater burden on him, Whirling Turtle Sage was not interested in perishing together with him. Under such circumstances, Whirling Turtle Sage and the other great demons chose to retreat without hesitation. That ring has fallen into Xianmen Tianzong's hands. Whirling Turtle Sage, Fei Sage, and Great Sage Bai Feng looked at each other, their hearts heavy. They had lost Great Sage Zhu Jian for nothing, and they really did not know how to explain this to the enchantress when they returned. Chapter 1162. He had successfully killed Zhu Jian, but Wang Lin was not in a good condition. The Zhu Jian's turbid wave demonic arrow was indeed domineering and insidious. Even though Wang Lin had used the death substitution rebirth technique to reconstruct his primordial spirit, the injury was still there. Although it was no longer fatal, it still affected his condition and made him extremely weak. However, Wang Lin's eyes were bright, as if there were streams of light surging in them, reflecting the great Tao of heaven and earth. Under the heavy pressure of the enemy, his understanding of the laws of heaven and earth improved further. From there, he used a new divine ability to kill great sage Zhu Jian, and this process was fed back to Wang Lin, causing his understanding of the Tao to improve again. Under this cycle, his overall strength improved. Since he started cultivating, Wang Lin felt that his understanding of the great Tao of heaven and earth was the most profound. At this moment, he even felt a little disconnected, and his spirit was extremely tired and weak. However, the light in his beer seemed to be getting brighter and brighter. Although Ning Wanga hoped to capture the Baifeng Great Sage and the other demons to find out the relationship between herself and the Enchantress Great Sage, but with only her, Su Anda, and the Sword of Heavenly Way, they would not be able to keep the Baifeng Great Sage, the Revolving Turtle Great Sage, and the Fei Great Sage. It was hard to tell who would win in this battle, but if Baifeng Great Sage and the other demons wanted to escape, they could do it. Ning Wanga had no choice but to give up. Wang Lin sat cross-legged in the void and said slowly, "What do you plan to do in the future, fellow Taoist Ning?" Ning Wanga looked at Wang Lin and said softly, "I've never come into contact with the enchantress of the demon race before, so I didn't know that there would be such changes between us. I hope to find my lost past from her." Wang Lin looked at her and said, "After this incident, the enchantress might also pay attention to you." Lin Feng, Wang Lin, and Lin Feng didn't know what the relationship between the enchantress and Ning Wanga was. They also didn't know if the enchantress knew about Ning Wanga's lost past 4,000 years ago. However, it was certain that the two were related. For Ning Wanga, the enchantress was an important clue that she was pursuing. It was also the only clear clue that she had so far. As for the enchantress, it was hard to predict how he would view Ning Wanga. Ning Wanga nodded and said, "Yes, that's right. One was a human and the other was a demon. The enchantress's strength was above hers. Moreover, coming into contact with the enchantress's mana aura would cause her to fall into a predicament of losing control. It was undoubtedly extremely difficult for her to obtain information from the enchantress. If the enchantress also wanted to find her, she would be in a very bad situation." After a moment of silence, Ning Wanga said softly, "I hope to meet your master, the master of the celestial sect. Please introduce me to him." Wang Lin nodded and said, "Sure." Without the obstruction of the wonderful time wheel array and the space enchantment created by the whirling turtle Great Sage, Wang Lin and the others were able to return to the vast thousand worlds very quickly and re-establish contact with Lin Feng and the others. Lin Feng, who was above the deep abyss mountain in the infinite wilderness, had also received the news. Being sandwiched by the wonderful time wheel array and the deep abyss mountain, facing three great demons in the Dharma-ending realm, the enchantress, the great sage, and Zhu Yan, even Lin Feng could only barely maintain a defensive position when he didn't know how to use the heaven-sealing sword. If the power of the deep abyss mountain was further activated, the situation would inevitably be even more disadvantageous to Lin Feng. However, Lin Feng's eyes were calm. He looked up at the enchantress and the wonderful time wheel array with a faint smile on his face. The huge light pillar in the void suddenly changed its appearance. The light shadow of a great demon appeared in the light pillar. Apart from the primordial celestial dragon, the figures of the demon ape, the Kuan Peng, and the black tortoise gradually disappeared. Instead, the three great demon shadows of the golden-winged roc, Chaos, and the spiritual monkey stood side by side with the golden dragon shadow. At this moment, the mystical heaven and earth shaking array had transformed into the mystical time and space wheel array. The enchantress had also received the message from the whirling turtle great sage and the other great demons and learned of the death of the Zhu Jian great sage. In addition, she had received a report from the heavenly wolf great sage earlier and knew that the heavenly wolf great sage was being targeted by Zhu Yi. It was extremely difficult for him to escape and could not help the Zhu Jian great sage and the whirling turtle great sage. Her hope of obtaining the ring that originally belonged to the Golden Rock great sage had been dashed. Not only that, but she had also lost one of her most capable subordinates, the Zhu Jian great sage. The enchantress could be said to have suffered a great loss this time. The gains did not make up for the losses. However, she maintained a calm state of mind and did not continue to fight with Lin Feng. The Zhu Jian great sage and the others had failed. It was meaningless for her to delay the action of the Lin Feng great sage here. Although she had the idea of not continuing to let Lin Feng grow stronger and join forces with the other great demons to severely injure or even kill him, she obviously did not have enough confidence at the moment. It was fine if Lin Feng did not release the sealing heaven punishment sword. Once he did, both sides would suffer, and the result of his own side being defeated was not what the enchantress wanted. Therefore, after receiving the report from the revolving turtle great sage and the others, the enchantress made a prompt decision. Without the slightest hesitation, he immediately changed the amazing heaven and earth shaking formation into the amazing time and space spinning formation and quickly left the Spirit Deep Mountain. Lin Feng's dermic journey to the Spirit Deep Mountain was originally to lure the Golden Rock great sage and her out. Now that the Golden Rock was in danger, she had become Lin Feng's target. If they did not have enough confidence, even if the Great Sage and the Zhu Yan Great Sage had the Spirit Deep Mountain, they would naturally not fight to the death with Lin Feng. It seemed to be rising slowly, but in fact the huge light beam that instantly broke through the void broke away from the sky above Yujing Mountain. Lin Feng looked up and said, "Are you in a hurry to leave now?" With a thought, the yin and yang life and death formation above Yujing Mountain suddenly unfolded, changing from defense to offense. With the change of the two poles, it sucked in the amazing time and space spinning formation that was trying to escape. Within the yin and yang life and death formation, Ding of Shenzhou shook and began to fall down with the yin and yang life and death formation, as if it was being dragged by the weight of the entire vast thousand worlds. The amazing time and space spinning formation that was rising up to escape was immediately fixed again, unable to escape. In the light beam, the enchantress's eyes could be vaguely seen. They were like bright stars, looking down at Lin Feng on Yujing Mountain without sorrow or joy. And on the Spirit Deep Mountain below, the Great Sage and the Zhu Yan Great Sage watched this scene expressionlessly, but they did not do anything else. Although the demonic atmosphere of the Spirit Deep Mountain soared to the sky, its power did not increase. It only maintained its original state and fixed Lin Feng's Yujing Mountain in place. At this moment, although Lin Feng had changed from defense to offense, making it impossible for the enchantress to escape, in fact, he was still at a disadvantage. With the Spirit Deep Mountain's geographical advantage, and the existence of the 12 amazing divine light formation, Lin Feng's current strength could not withstand the three demons with their full strength. But once the sky-crushing sword was unsealed, the outcome became unpredictable. Without sufficient confidence, neither the ape clan nor the enchantress could make up their minds to fight to the death with Lin Feng. The current situation was not beneficial to the demon clan in the war between the two worlds. The Golden Rock Great Sage had fallen, and the Enchantress, the Great Sage, and the Zhu Yan Great Sage, three great demons of the Dharma-ending realm, were restrained here by Lin Feng. Meanwhile, the Dragon Clan and the Taishu Temple were engaged in a fierce battle in the mysterious sea. Xianmen Tianzong and the Taishu Temple joined forces to share the pressure brought by almost all the top great demons of the Demon Clan, while the other experts of the Human Clan, led by Emperor Qin Stonefeather, began to attack Infinite Wasteland. Even the Great Zhou dynasty, which had been hiding its strength and biding its time, seized the opportunity to take the initiative to attack. At this point in the war between the two worlds, the situation was very beneficial to the cultivators of the human clan. At this moment, in the Yingxi, in the hall at the peak of Mount Penglai, a huge figure that was 40 feet tall was sitting cross-legged. His facial features were handsome, and his body was well proportioned. Although he was much taller than an ordinary person, he still looked very harmonious sitting in the empty hall. He was a zenith heaven. Under Lin Feng's guidance, this huge body was condensed from the 9 streams of clear qi of Mount Penglai. It was only 40 feet tall at the moment, and would only be close to completion when it reached 90 feet tall. However, the appearance of this clone was the image of Zenith Heaven when he was called Luo Yao. His facial features were exactly the same as Luo Yao's, except that he looked a little older, and his body was much larger. In front of this clone of Zenith Heaven's 9 qi, a purplish gold pearl floated. It was the heavenly scarlet golden pearl in which the demon soul of Zenith Heaven's true body resided. Golden fog appeared in the heavenly scarlet golden pearl, flashing with purple light. The fog gradually condensed into a form in midair, which was the appearance of a Yudu beast. Its facial features and limbs were similar to a human's, but it had a triangular head and a silver-white mane on its back. Its body was covered in purple light patterns, and it was the appearance of Zenith Heaven's true body. Zenith Heaven's true body and his 9 qi clones sat opposite each other, cultivating together silently. Their auras were constantly connected, and the clear qi of Mount Penglai was also poured into him. Suddenly, the body of Zenith Heaven's true body that was formed by the heavenly scarlet golden pearl trembled slightly. He opened his eyes, which were flashing with purple light, and his face was filled with shock. Before he could think, Zenith Heaven's true body had already turned back into fog and returned to the heavenly scarlet golden pearl. Then, the heavenly scarlet golden pearl began to tremble violently for some unknown reason. Zenith Heaven's 9 qi clones were puzzled. After carefully analyzing it for a moment, he quickly contacted Lin Feng. Master Lin, the heavenly scarlet golden pearl has suddenly changed, but it's just a simple tremble. I don't know what it means. Lin Feng's gaze flickered slightly, and many thoughts appeared in his mind. He said, "Stay in Mount Penglai and don't go out. If there are any other strange movements, just contact me immediately." Zenith Heaven nodded in agreement. After cutting off the connection, Lin Feng turned around and looked at the barren space in front of him with a slight frown. 4-colored lightning danced in the void. The person here wasn't Lin Feng's true body, but his clone of Brontosaurus. He had originally come to find the Yudu skeleton of Golden Rock Great Sage, but when he came to that dimensional world, he searched everywhere, but the skeleton was nowhere to be seen. Logically speaking, the skeleton was randomly teleported here by the world-breaking stone. Other than Lin Feng, who had left the spatial waymark, and Golden Rock Great Sage, who had once sacrificed it, no one else should be able to determine its location. Lin Feng's eyes narrowed slightly as he pondered. Chapter 1163. The skeleton contained powerful spirit energy. Although it had no consciousness, it couldn't be treated as a dead object that couldn't move. It was just that when Lin Feng used the world-breaking stone to move it to this deserted medium dimension, the skeleton was in an extremely unstable state. The power contained in it could explode at any time. Under such circumstances, without Golden Rock Saint's control, it should have gradually calmed down. Or it could completely explode and destroy the medium dimension. However, when Lin Feng came to this medium dimension, he couldn't feel the existence of the skeleton, which surprised him. Of the people present at that time, even though Lin Feng could see that Emperor Zhou and Liang Pan were deeply hidden and still had hidden methods, but to find the randomly moved skeleton was probably still beyond their abilities. The Hautian mirror was still in the mysterious sea, so Yen Nanlai naturally couldn't find the Yudu skeleton. Among the remaining people, Golden Rock Saint had been killed by the enchantress, so it couldn't be him. The Heavenly Charm Great Sage had intercepted and killed the Golden Rock Great Sage. She might be able to get some clues from the Golden Rock Great Sage, but she herself needed time to intercept and kill the Golden Rock Great Sage. Logically speaking, it should not be as fast as Lin Feng's Thunder Dragon clone. Was it Great Peafowl Saint? Lin Feng pondered. Great Peafowl Saint's whereabouts were unknown, so he couldn't be sure if he had come to find the skeleton. Although Golden Rock Saint and Great Peafowl Saint had a close relationship, it was hard to say if Golden Rock Saint would let Great Peafowl Saint have a share of such an important treasure. However, Lin Feng felt that the sudden disappearance of the Yudu skeleton had nothing to do with Great Peafowl Saint. Even if Great Peafowl Saint could find the skeleton, he would be slower than Brontosaurus's clone. After all, although Lin Feng's true body had returned to the Great Thunderclap Monastery in the Divine Land with the power of the world-breaking stone and entered the black hole, the first thing Lin Feng did was to drive his Brontosaurus clone to the medium dimension. Who knew that after entering the medium dimension, he would find nothing? In the time that followed, Lin Feng turned the medium dimension inside and out, but he still couldn't find the skeleton. With Brontosaurus's clone's divine arts and demon power cultivation, after such a long and serious search, even an ordinary rock would have been found, not to mention the huge amount of demon power contained in the skeleton. During this time, no one else entered the medium dimension. Lin Feng vaguely felt someone approaching but quickly retreated. The aura of the person's magic power was similar to that of Enchantress, so it was very likely to be his clone. Logically, others shouldn't be able to get here before me. If it isn't someone who was there at that time, things will be interesting. Lin Feng thought about the news that Zenith Immortal had mentioned when he had contacted him and thought, could it be that the Yudu race is really going to come out again? With that thought, Lin Feng frowned. When the Spirit Sea was sealed the last time, the imprint on the Yudu race shouldn't have been completely erased. But judging from that time, the imprint will probably be erased before the Spirit Sea reopens 100 years later, and the Yudu race will be able to see the light of day again. But it still shouldn't be so soon. Whether it was Lin Feng or Taishu Temple, they all hoped that the war between the two worlds would break out as soon as possible. Of course, part of this was due to the calamity that the Tenryugen had experienced, but it was also due to the fact that the Yudu race could come out again at any time. Lin Feng controlled the heavenly scarlet golden bead, and when the Spirit Sea was sealed once again, he had a clearer sense of the movements of the Yudu race. Even though the Yudu race couldn't erase their imprint completely in the chaos of that day, they didn't need to wait for the Spirit Sea to reopen 100 years later to break free of the shackles on them. But logically, it shouldn't be so soon. Am I thinking too much? Lin Feng raised his head slightly. But if it isn't Yudu, where did the skeleton go? The sudden movement from the heavenly scarlet golden bead probably isn't a coincidence. He shook his head and took a deep breath. The clone of the Brontosaurus shed its human form and revealed the true form of the silver Brontosaurus. Four-colored lightning flashed continuously, and there was even a black glow flowing on the surface of the lightning. The huge silver Brontosaurus stretched across the void, and its eyes gradually lit up with a purple glow that was domineering and profound. He had tried this method before, but there was no reaction. However, after such a long time, Lin Feng executed it again. It wasn't an attempt out of helplessness, but Lin Feng knew that if someone had taken away that piece of Yudu's skeleton, he might be able to conceal his traces at the start, but if he had to sacrifice it or perform some kind of ritual, it would be hard for him to not reveal any traces and be caught by Lin Feng. Lin Feng cultivated his spirit to return to the void and comprehended his Tao of two extremes. He had referenced the contents of heavenly Tao demon scriptures, and his clone of the Brontosaurus had also cultivated heavenly Tao demon scriptures. His ability to sense the Yudu skeleton surpassed many people's imaginations. The eyes of the clone of the Brontosaurus shone with a purple glow, but there was no other reaction. However, Lin Feng didn't lose his patience. The clone of the Brontosaurus silently executed its demon power. After an unknown period of time, the purple glow suddenly trembled as though it had formed a connection with a place far away. It stretched out into the distance like a path. Even though this path appeared and disappeared from time to time, shaking non-stop and looking very unstable, Lin Feng instantly smiled when he saw it. The huge silver Brontosaurus turned and flew along the path paved by the purple glow. It flew into the void far away and left the dimensional world that it was currently in. After flying for a short while, Lin Feng's expression couldn't help changing slightly. He looked over and saw the void in front of him suddenly changing. In the dark void there was a dazzling purple glow that covered the starlight in the sky. The purple glow spread out and covered the sky, making people's hearts palpitate. The terrifying power rippled continuously and shook the sky. Lin Feng could even clearly see the traces of destruction in the void. The void was destroyed, forming a chaotic scene. However, under the intimidation of the purple light, the moment it transformed into a new void, it was destroyed and turned into nothingness before it could completely form. The source of this terrifying scene was in the center of the purple light, where there was a strange and unfathomable skeleton. Beams of purple light spewed out from the Yudu remains, and countless runes and diagrams spread out in all directions. They were engraved in the void and turned a radius of 10 million miles purple. It was as though it was an independent world. Even Lin Feng's Brontosaurus clone had a feeling of wanting to worship this terrifying power from the bottom of his heart. The dragon might of the dragon race naturally produced a heavy awe to other life forms. It was as though it was the mandate of heaven and the style of an emperor. However, at this moment, facing the Yudu remains, the dragon might of Lin Feng's Brontosaurus clone that was like a thick thundercloud actually slowly dissipated. As the last imperial race of Heaven Wasteland, Yudu's reign was truly heavy during its period of rule. It was practically engraved in the demon souls and bloodlines of other demon races. Lin Feng shook his head. This dragon body of mine has been refined by me, so it's already very special. If it were any other dragon race, they would probably be suppressed even worse. When the bloodline is purified and the body of a primordial heavenly dragon is reformed, then perhaps I can be immune to the pressure from Yudu on the same realm. However, facing this skeleton of Yu Huang's celestial sea, even a heavenly dragon in the last days realm would feel immense pressure. However, this skeleton is a dead object after all, so the pressure can still be overcome. I just have to be wary of the powerful power it contains. Lin Feng swept his gaze and realized that the skeleton was being activated by someone. The power inside wasn't as violent as when Golden Rock Saint had activated it. Instead, it had become orderly. But in Lin Feng's eyes, this scene did not make him feel happy at all. This meant that the person who had activated the skeleton was very likely the Yudu beast of the same race as Yu Huang's celestial sea. It's really Yudu. What are they trying to do? Lin Feng's gaze flickered slightly. If they've already broken free from the restraints of the spirit sea, then they should be able to return to the boundless world directly. Why are they casting spells on this skeleton? What's the use of this ritual? Lin Feng frowned. He saw the dazzling purple light in the void gradually outline a hazy and illusory spell altar. The lines of the spell altar were slightly blurry and unclear, but the concept that leaked out from it made Lin Feng frown slightly. From the center of the spell altar, a dazzling pillar of light shot out into the void above, straight into the sky. Although the pillar of light seemed to be shooting towards the void above the spell altar, there was actually no direction in the chaotic void at the edge of the boundless world. It was hard to determine where the pillar of light was going, so one could only be sure that it was shooting towards a certain direction in the boundless world. Lin Feng's eyes narrowed slightly, and his consciousness swept out. He felt the aura that leaked out from the pillar of light, and his expression changed. This spell altar seems to be a signpost. It seems to be guiding something. After pondering for a moment, Lin Feng came to a realization. I see, Yuda race wants to move their ancestral land. Ever since the war between the two worlds, Yuda race had always been hidden in a dimensional world. That place didn't come into contact with the outside world, and if they wanted to enter, they could only be forcefully broken open by strong practitioners. In that dimensional world stood Yuda Royal City, which was also where the ancestral land of Yuda race was located. After Yu Wang's Celestial Sea conquered the ape race and dealt a heavy blow to Spirit Abyss Mountain, that place was a stronger existence than Spirit Abyss Mountain, and it had disappeared along with Yuda race. That was a backup plan that Yu Wang's Celestial Sea had personally left behind to merge Yuda Royal City with that dimensional world. During the Battle of the Spirit Sea back then, according to Yu Wang's Celestial Sea's will, the great demons of Yudu didn't execute the power of their ancestral land to prevent the Spirit Sea from retaliating. Now that Yudu race had broken free from the restraints of the Spirit Sea and wanted to return to the boundless world, they naturally wanted to bring Yuda Royal City back to the boundless world as well. To execute the ritual through the power of the world, the ability of the caster must be extremely high. Lin Feng's pupils contracted slightly, but he didn't slow down at all. The claw of the Brontosaurus moved, and a few beams of light flew out to sweep towards the spell altar. Lin Feng's Brontosaurus clone had only just moved, and the surroundings of the spell altar instantly trembled. Dazzling purple light danced non-stop, and it was as though a tsunami was wreaking havoc. Chapter 1164. Lin Feng's Brontosaurus clone looked at the blurry spell altar in the air. The demon power in it was like a tsunami that shook the surrounding void. Lin Feng didn't touch it blindly. His demon power was also coated with a layer of purple light. Although it was milder than the power of the spell altar and the skeleton, it was still strange and domineering. It was as if it came from the same source. It looked as if the spirit chi in the surroundings was absorbed and assimilated by the spell altar before being sucked over. In this way, it became much easier for Lin Feng's Brontosaurus clone's demon power to approach the spell altar. It no longer caused intense hostility. Lin Feng's demon power followed the purple light and gradually entered the spell altar. The ritual looked rough, but when Lin Feng understood it, he instantly discovered that the changes in the demon power were fine and subtle. He couldn't help but sigh in admiration. Countless talisman patterns converged together, ceaselessly changing their arrangement and combination, and it was dazzling to the eyes. However, Lin Feng more or less had some understanding towards the divine arts of the Yuda race. These transformations that made other people feel complicated when they saw it in his eyes, he could see some clues. The method of the heavenly Tao demon scriptures, the innate divine arts of the Yuda race, and the unique understanding of the laws of heaven and earth of the caster. Lin Feng nodded slightly. At the same time, his mood gradually became solemn. That was because when he was studying the spell altar, he faintly heard the wail of the great Tao. This sound wasn't really heard by Lin Feng, but it rang in his heart. This was because when his Brontosaurus clone's consciousness and demon power explored the spell altar gave him feedback. Listening carefully, Lin Feng could even feel that it was two wails overlapping. One was stronger, but it seemed rigid. The other was weaker, but it was agile and full of changes. The former belonged to the remains in Yu Wang's Celestial Sea, while the latter undoubtedly came from the Yudu beast that was activating the ritual. If the experts of the demon race successfully survived the tribulation, then when they revealed their true form, their demonic aura would resound with the mournful wails of the great Tao. The Yudu beast that was activating the ritual had actually successfully gone through the Middle Tribulation and reached the cultivation realm of the Middle Tribulation stage. When Lin Feng saw that the other party was able to construct a ritual even though they were separated by the power of the domain, he was already alarmed. He knew that this was a powerful opponent, and now he had further confirmation. However, Lin Feng still had some doubts in his heart. Back when I was in the Spirit Sea, I saw the Yudu beasts and the people of Taishu Temple wrestling in Yudu Royal City. Even though there were quite a number of strong practitioners, I didn't see any of them experiencing a calamity. After the Spirit Sea was sealed once again, some great demon of Yudu in the last days realm tried to experience the calamity and succeeded. On top of that, it passed through the period of weakness in a short time. In the three calamities of creation, the collapse of the great Tao would ignore the changes in time and space. The time of the person experiencing the calamity would be the same as that of the boundless world. However, the time needed for different people to recover would be different. Or could it be that the Yudu beast in the Middle Tribulation stage had just experienced the calamity and was at its weakest, so it simply didn't make a move? Many thoughts flashed through Lin Feng's mind. Or could it be that the Yudu beast was in death seclusion and couldn't care about what was happening outside? In any case, this discovery was definitely not good news for Lin Feng. He wasn't afraid of the other party, but this sudden and unexpected change would have an impact on the war between the two worlds. It was hard to predict, and it would cause the situation to change beyond Lin Feng's control. During the Battle of the Spirit Sea, Taishu Temple and the Yudu race had fought with each other across the Spirit Sea. This allowed Lin Feng and Taishu Temple to have a rough judgment of the Yudu race's abilities. Even though he had tried to bring forward the time of the war between the two worlds and the Yudu race wouldn't be able to return to the boundless world in time, in Lin Feng's many plans, he had left a place for the Yudu race in the worst-case scenario. If the Yudu race really returned to the boundless world, Lin Feng wasn't completely unprepared. However, that was against the power that the Yudu race had displayed at that time. The sudden appearance of a Yudu beast that had experienced the Middle Tribulation couldn't be ignored, especially when the other party had tried to bring Yudu Royal City back to the boundless world. In theory, any top-notch great demon in the last days realm could successfully experience the Middle Tribulation, but without enough accumulation, the probability of success was far lower than the probability of failure. The appearance of a Yudu beast that had suddenly experienced the Middle Tribulation was one of the worst scenarios that Lin Feng had predicted. However, he had to think carefully about how to deal with it. However, that was a matter for the future. To Lin Feng, the first thing he had to do was to disrupt the other party's ritual and stop their abilities from growing further. The Yudu race had returned to the boundless world, and to them, there were many things that they were clueless about. Their first priority was to gather information and understand the current situation of the heaven primordial world. After all, they had been separated from the world for over 4,600 years. But after getting a clear picture of the current situation, Yudu clan would almost definitely join in the war against the current situation of the two worlds. At that moment, the situation of the human race was great, and the situation of the demon race was terrible. The Yudu race could use Lin Feng, Taishu Temple, and the rest to sweep away the obstacles to their return to the demon world of Heaven Wasteland Vastland. However, if the power of the demon race was severely damaged, they wouldn't be happy to see it. The main strong practitioners of Taishu Temple and the Haotian Mirror stayed in the mysterious sea, while Lin Feng's main body and Mount Yujing were restrained by the primordial devil ape race and the enchantress. To the Yudu race, this was also a rare opportunity. They would have a huge advantage. Lin Feng didn't even need to think much to guess their number one target. They had fought a bloody battle in the previous war between the two worlds, and their hatred was as deep as the sea. This time, their main force was restrained by the dragon race in the mysterious sea, and their Taishu temple was severely lacking. There was no Haotian mirror, no Grand One Venerable, Shoichi Dashin, and Dao Venerable Qing One. There wasn't enough power in the great formation of Yin and Yang of the Great Void. In such a situation, if the Yuta race went all out, under the leadership of this Yuta beast that was undergoing calamity, they might be able to break through White Cloud Mountain. Whether the dragon race would be willing to let the great demons of Yudu into the mysterious sea to deal with the main force of Taishu Temple was hard to say, but all the demons would be happy to see White Cloud Mountain being flattened. This result would cause numerous chain reactions, and it would change the entire situation of the war between the two worlds. It would cause Lin Feng and the rest of the strong practitioners of the human race to lose control of the future. Lin Feng frowned slightly, and he communicated with his main body, the clone of War God, and the rest of the people in Xianmen Tianzong. He then reported the news to the various powers of the human race in the Divine Land. Lin Feng wasn't sure if the others believed what he said, how they would deal with the news, and what thoughts they had in their hearts. However, he would inform them of this important news in time to prevent the people in the Divine Land from being caught off guard. Not long later, a tall figure wearing armor appeared in the void. His facial features were the same as Lin Feng's. It was his clone of War God. At the same time, an even taller giant that reached a height of 90 yards also appeared beside Brontosaurus's clone. It was the 9 Qi clone that Lin Feng had cultivated with the 9 paths of clear Qi of Mount Penglai. The two clones arrived at the scene, and they didn't say anything. They each took a corner and stood in a triangular formation with Brontosaurus's clone. They didn't direct the magic power of their divine arts into the purple spell altar. Instead, they buffed the Brontosaurus's clone and let Brontosaurus's clone take the lead. The majestic yet low-profile magic power spread continuously in the purple spell altar and slowly corroded it. Everything seemed to be going smoothly, but Lin Feng's brows furrowed tighter and tighter. In his consciousness, an image gradually appeared. It turned from blurry to clear, as though it was appearing in front of his eyes. In the world of darkness, black fog filled the air. In the depths of the black fog, there was an incomparably huge city. The city was completely black, but it flashed with silver light. In the void above the city stood numerous Yudu beasts. They all had triangular heads and humanoid faces, but their backs were covered with long silver-white fur. A huge tail dragged behind them, and the surface of their skin was covered in purple runes. Silently, the Yudu Great Demon in the lead stood with his mouth open. In front of him floated a purple ball of light. Countless streams of light flowed out from the ball of light, and they were all connected to the huge Yudu royal city below. The silver light from the royal city illuminated the sky, and it shook the entire medium-sized world. Even the void outside the medium-sized world was shaken. On the ball of light, a black line stretched out, and it extended out of the medium-sized world as though it was connected to something. Lin Feng knew in his heart that it was connected to the spell altar. He looked at the Yuta Great Demon in the lead, and even with the barrier of the world, he could still feel an extremely dangerous aura from its body. Lin Feng's expression was calm as he stared at the Yudu Great Demon. He saw a hint of a cold smile on the corner of the Yudu beast's mouth. Its eyes flashed, and it seemed to be looking at Lin Feng. This was within Lin Feng's expectations. From the moment he could see the sight of this medium-sized world, he knew he had also fallen into the enemy's line of sight. His sneak attack on the spell altar had already been discovered by the other party. Even though I don't know who you are, you seem to have obtained some inheritance from Brother Tianhai, Imperial Brother. The heavenly Tao demon scriptures you cultivate are extremely orthodox, and you seem to have reached a certain level. However, I have to thank you. The Yudu beast suddenly spoke human language, and its voice could be heard clearly by Lin Feng. Before it could even finish speaking, the spell altar in front of Lin Feng's eyes changed. It suddenly turned from blurry to clear, and it transformed into a huge spell altar that was 30,000 yards tall. It was split into 11 layers, and tens of thousands of rays of light illuminated the entire void. A huge suction force was produced, and Lin Feng's Brontosaurus clone, Battle God clone, and 9 Chi clone were all sucked in. They couldn't escape, and it was as though they were going to be fused into the spell altar. Meanwhile, the pillar of light above the spell altar gradually turned into a black line, and it was actually the same as the black line on the Yudu Beast's ball of light in the medium-sized world. Next, the spell altar actually started to break through the void, wanting to break through the boundary and land on the boundless world. It was obvious that the ritual had officially started to pull Yudu Royal City back to the boundless world. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.